Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse 175. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
And Connor's here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're getting this show on the road.
My plan every week is just to sound as enthusiastic as possible until I introduce Connor, and then just drop it to the most mundane, boring, monotone voice that I can do. That's my plan. As a DC Comics podcast, we talk about DC Comics every week, and coming up on this week's show, we'll be talking about Deceased number 5, Batman 80, Justice League 33, The Green Lantern number 12. In fact, I didn't actually ask Connor, did you read that?
No,
No,
you didn't
no.
get caught up.
I actually opened it, got like 2 pages in and went, I haven't read the last 2 issues. Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you are the worst. Like, people are relying on you to report back on this Green Lantern
That
book.
Connor guy.
This is the problem
worst.
when you fall behind on a book. It becomes so much harder to catch up.
Jeez. So, scratch that from the record. There'll be no Green Lantern number 12, because Connor didn't read it. But we do have Legion of Superheroes Millennium issue 2, Lois Lane number 4, and Young Justice number 9. So, lighter week on books, which is cool. Gives us a nice quieter week before, presumably next week is going to
I think this is
rough us up.
probably the last quiet week for a while.
Probably. But that's the books that are coming up. We got some news as well. But before we get to any of that, this is some small talk. And we had the new Birds of Prey trailer. I suppose that's the obvious place to start with.
You mean the Harley Quinn movie trailer?
Yeah, it's the Harley Quinn movie trailer. That's not really a Birds of Prey movie.
I really thought you were just, being, I don't want to say dramatic, but for lack of a better term, dramatic about it. And then I watched the trailer and went, oh no, he was actually underplaying it. So.
Yes. Matt's referring to me being very jaded and cynical when I saw the trailer during the week, because the day before the trailer came out, there was 4 new posters for the movie, and every single, because I thought, 4 posters, maybe it'll be like character posters, one Harley, one Huntress, one Black Canary. No. Every one of them is just Harley on her own, just being herself, and they all look awful as well. They're all these really gaudy colors. I don't get it at all.
That said, if it wasn't called Birds of Prey, I wouldn't be as annoyed.
I wouldn't be as annoyed. I'm annoyed because it's called Birds of Prey. I'd be equally unenthusiastic about seeing it though, I think.
I don't know, I like that trailer. The trailer looks like I don't know. It doesn't look Snydery, and that's good.
It doesn't. It's not a Birds of Prey movie. It's a Harley Quinn movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with that because it looks fun, and it's what I would want from a Harley Quinn movie.
Nah, it looks like a movie that was made in 2004. It looks no, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it.
I don't agree with that. I think it looks
Looks
like a
pretty
movie.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just that it's not a Birds of Prey movie. Even the hints we get of the other characters, they barely get any time in the trailer to actually have dialogue. They're just kind of standing around watching Harley be Harley, but none of them look or feel like the characters are supposed to be. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's unfair to make that call just yet. Like, it look like, sure, that they're taking a different visual approach. No arguments there. But I think it's a bit early to say they don't feel like the characters where, as you just admitted, they barely get any time to even have a line of dialogue. There's no chance for them to feel like anything at all yet.
They could feel like things, just because I've not heard them speak yet. I mean, the look's part of the feel. The attention given to them is part of the feel. There's stuff going on here. They're basically just there to like bounce off Harley's jokes, and at least again that's just from the trailer so far. But I'm not feeling it.
I'll also be seeing it. But I go see these movies, even when I know I shouldn't.
Yeah, Matt's the only one who's seen the Joker yet.
I actually meant to go see it today, and then I couldn't be bothered to pay for a bus pass this week, so I didn't go to the cinema.
I had time yesterday to go see it and just couldn't be bothered going to the theater to see it. Well,
And you're supposed to do a review show.
What, Pete?
You saw it, Matt. On you go.
Yeah, no, it's not a good movie. I'll say that. It's shot well. I think most of it's in 4:3, but I'm not a nerd like Pete. So
it's in 4:3.
The trailer wasn't. The trailer wasn't in 4:3.
I had bars on 2 sides.
I think it's just 185, but your cinema
Okay.
just presented it as like a 235 with black bars at the side rather than having curtains to.
See, there you
Okay.
go. That's probably what happened.
That's my guess.
Which that was distracting, but without giving too much away, it's a very nihilistic movie, and I don't much care for that. So philosophically, it didn't do anything for me. But on an actual movie narrative level, Phillips kind of knows what he wants to say, but he never fully gets it out there, and it gets so muddled towards the end that you're just kind of confused on stuff. Not confused in the like how this happened. You're just like, well, this doesn't match with the beginning.
I think it's interesting that Matt is by far the most negative opinion I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, I've been looking at everything, but yeah, from what I've seen on my Twitter and stuff that's popped up,
So
most people have been fairly positive.
like if I'm rating it right now, I'm giving it a 5.5 or a 6. I mean, Phoenix is good, but I don't think he's like, oh my God, this is the role of a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like he's a very sad sack character that at a certain point you're like, do something. Like I know there's a mental illness thing, but like, come on, man, it's very frustrating.
It's kind of funny that Matt's the one that saw because Matt is probably the one out of the three of us who is the least likely to enjoy this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and here's the thing, though.
That me and Pete both love this movie when we actually get around to seeing it.
I don't think so. I was thinking about Pete while watching it, and him going,
Oh, thanks, Matt.
"Yeah, you're welcome." Going, no, this doesn't. This story just doesn't go this way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're trying to. Todd Phillips tries to have his cake and eat it too, and then you know, there's other things that happen that are very frustrating, and I didn't. And it is kind of reckless in this day and age with the events that play out. Like I tried to set that away, but how the last act builds, I just want to look at Phillips and go, why do you think this was a good idea?
Don't ask him that because he'll give you a terrible answer.
Well, he can. I don't care. I don't, you know. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's made one good movie. So, and I'll stand up for The Hangover. The movie still makes me laugh. But yeah, so. Yeah, man, it was even my brother who did like it even was like, how did this get so many standing ovations? It doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like in the state of the world when it comes to these kind of dark and dreary, cynical. I just don't subscribe to that. And that's what this movie is just reveling in. Like everything is shit and nothing, you know, you have to be crazy like the Joker to fix things. I don't subscribe
What
to
I'm
that.
hearing is 10 years ago you'd have loved it.
What do you mean?
Well, you used to be a lot more cynical than you are now.
Well, a little bit, and that was thanks to the internet. With most of my cynicism on that came from people that you know, when you get on the internet and you think you found other people that are like you, right, and then you find out like, oh no, they're not like me at all. That's what getting into comics internet was like at the time, you know. So.
That's what meeting Connor's like.
Yeah, right. But I don't even 10 years ago, I don't think I would have liked it because you know me, I like my superhero movies. Like you can be dark, but at least be fun still. Like the Nolan movies are kind of dark, but like if the Dark Knight's on TV, I'm stopping what I'm doing to watch it because I like watching it. And Joker's not a movie that I liked watching. You know, like I don't know. And I'm sure I'll get called all sorts of Marvel fanboy names, despite the fact that I do a DC Comics podcast every week. And if you look behind me, nothing but DC stuff. But
I mean, to be fair, none of our audience have ever said that about any of us.
no, I'm talking about like on Twitter. Like I've been waiting for it.
Sure.
You know, like, and the people that I'm seeing that are saying that it's so incredible, I want to pick their brains because I feel like there's this fetishization of the Joker. Like it's that meme of like when you grow up, you know the Joker's the only one that's sane. And again, I hate that so much. But yeah, it is a divisive movie. So I'm probably just on the one side that doesn't. But it's not poorly made, so that's why it's weird. I hated the story, and I think Phoenix got talked up way too much. That he's fine. Like I don't see this movie getting too much like Oscar love, and I can see like that section of Twitter and the internet being so pissed off about it. But
I mean, there's already a lot of expectation that it will be, if nothing else, at least he will be nominated, if not the movie as a whole.
Well, I could see him getting nominated. Will he win? I don't know. I never, for once, didn't think that it was Joaquin Phoenix. Like you'll lose a character in the role, and you're like, oh yeah. I never once felt that. So, but yeah, it's a movie. I wouldn't rush out. Like, guys, I mean, unless you, but also I feel like I wasn't excited for this movie. Like the first trailer started turning me around, and then I got to the second trailer, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. And the movie does nothing. So if you're kind of where I was, where you're kind of like, I'm not excited, I wouldn't.
I liked the trailers, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Philip started opening his mouth.
Yeah.
And kind of excitement trailed off quite significantly after that.
I try to set all that aside, right? And that's what I'm talking about here is setting aside Phillips and all the controversy and stuff. But even setting that out of my mind to watch the movie, I do see how the ending is problematic for people, for reviewers and whatnot, because it does, again, it seems reckless. And there's a lot at play, and if you believe that art should be dangerous, then fine. I don't think this movie shouldn't exist, but I definitely, want to see where Phillips, if he actually, stands by all this, if he just wanted to make a dangerous movie,
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I'm just sick of hearing about it. I'm at the point where I'm sick of.
I'll be honest. That's how I feel about you with the Birds of Prey trailer, and that movie in general.
That's fine. I'm probably going to complain about it next time they release something for it, because every single time, ever since they announced that Harley Quinn was in that movie, it has been nothing but a snowball of like that movie becoming everything I don't want it to be.
What I would love is you to take the same approach with that as you do with Joker. Just like, it's over there. I don't care.
Yeah, but see, I don't think that's because Pete really cares about Birds of Prey. So this is why I get it. This is how I felt about Batman v Superman when it was supposed to be Man of Steel 2, and then they're like, oh no, we're gonna make Batman and put that in there too.
Oh, did you see Snyder's done some more shite on that today? I think
he's I don't care.
Apparently, Martian Manhunter was in BVS. No, Justice League. Sorry. And he was in the theatrical cut. We just never knew it was him. It's Jimmy Olsen all over again.
Well, then you're terrible as a storyteller. Because if there's no, like, the Jimmy Olsen thing, still, I will never stand by that. Him just killing him off with no... And even on the Snyder cut, which not the Snyder cut, not Justice League.
The extended cut.
I don't want to perpetuate that, right? The director's cut of BVS, he's barely mentioned as Jimmy Olsen. So, like, you're just a bad storyteller when it comes to superheroes, man. And that's my opinion. And if people have a problem with that, fine. But I will take Joss Whedon every day over Snyder. So I don't.
Yeah, even if it was a mess at the end.
Yeah, I'll take a mess because at least I trust Joss's storytelling. Versus Snyder had never made a movie where I was like, oh, this dude's a storyteller. No, he's great with visuals. He's a hell of a cinematographer. Sure, he can composite a shot. But he's not that good at story. Like even like a Watchmen and 300, these are things that were scripted out for him, and they were just barely there.
I think his movies are ugly, but I mean I seem to be the minority of that.
Yeah.
But that's Joss Whedon. That name sounds familiar. That's weird.
Yeah. What's he from?
What'd you do this
Firefly. He did that Firefly show that got canceled a season in.
He did do Firefly. You're right. I think he did do that. But I think he also did the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, no Angel? Dang it. Sorry, that gamble and lost. I was trying to think of the Douchku one and I couldn't remember it.
Oh, Dollhouse.
Dollhouse. There you go.
It's all right. Pete's going to be sad about Firefly all over again soon because his rewatch is coming to an end.
Bite me. Bite me. But yeah, to sum up, Matt's mixed on the Joker. Birds of Prey looks like shit.
Yeah.
And it does.
I'm much more open-minded for Birds of Prey, despite it being
like it
a
may
movie.
still be terrible.
Yeah.
Not defending it that hard, but it looks like fun from that trailer as a Harley movie that happens to feature some Birds of Prey characters.
I just wish Warner would get their act together when it comes to this.
If nothing else, I appreciate how, between Shazam, Joker, and then Birds of Prey, they're all completely different styles of movies.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that.
I am concerned about Cassandra Cain's portrayal in this film. She already has too many lines of dialogue in the trailer.
Well, it still won't be probably as bad as the Birds of Prey TV show. You have that.
I don't know. That actually had Barbara Gordon in it, though. I mean, it was more of a Birds of Prey story, at the very least.
So we didn't talk about J.J. Abrams and his Warner deal, did we?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So he's going to be exclusive after I think starting 2020, whatever his projects wrap up, he's going to be exclusive with Warner Brothers. And I'm hoping he can bring some life to the superhero stuff, because he made me care about Star Trek.
I don't know if I'll be surprised if he even touches the superheroes. I don't see him doing that. Yeah, I don't think it'll be for DC properties.
He will if they pay him.
Well, like J.J. Abrams' Supergirl movie, right? We heard that we might be getting a Supergirl. That's something I could get behind. Or even if it's a bad robot, like his production company.
I mean, we heard of a lot of movies that we might be getting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, remember that Green Lantern Corps movie we were supposed to be getting sometime around now?
I mean, I suppose, to be fair, they've not announced a movie in at least 6 months now at this point. There was they were every other week there was a new movie being announced, and then it kind of went quiet, and I don't know if that's just because it said, hey, we should stop announcing things. Let's see if we can actually get any of these movies made.
Yeah. Of course, there's also the Whedon Batgirl movie.
That
was a while ago. No, I know, but and that kind of...
Well, it's not a Whedon movie anymore. He left it, and then they hired someone else.
So...
Yeah, they've probably hired someone else on Flash by now. Since last time we spoke about it. I don't know when that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know. I'm just DC movies they're Shazam was good. It was.
I finally watched Shazam this week.
Yeah.
Oh God, what the hell?
It's good though, right?
It is pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I need to watch it again because I haven't seen it since the theater. But
it was fun. I enjoyed it. I finally watched it. It happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, October, month of horror movies. Perfect time to catch up on Shazam.
I think I actually watched it right at the end of September. It's just that we're in that week that overlaps right now. I'm going double. Yeah, I watched on the 29th of September. So screw you, Dick.
It really pains me that my first movie of October was Joker. Hey, that hurts.
That was your first? No, I actually had a good movie. My first movie of October was The Transfiguration, which is a really good vampire movie. I recommend it.
Oh, by the way, Tim wanted me to ask me where are the forms. Wanted me to ask you.
They're right around. They're in the HR department, Matt.
Okay.
You just have to phone HR.
Well, give me the HR number and I'll give them a call.
Yeah, HR will get back to you sometime before 2025.
I actually watched another DC related movie today.
What'd you watch?
Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
Okay.
It just came out today on digital. It's okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel a lot of the.
I was a little disappointed because it's like, okay, new Wonder Woman animated movie, coming off the actual movie that we had. It was written by Megan Scott, so I thought, okay, there's potential here, and it has a terrible, terrible, terrible villain backstory, just atrociously cheesy and just terrible. Yeah. And that kind of and it's annoyingly right near the start of the movie, that backstory that it really ruined a lot of the movie going forward, because it could have just set me off on the wrong foot. Because it starts with origin stuff and then terrible villain origin, and I was like, really, this is how I'm spending the first 20 minutes of this hour 20 movie. Disappointing.
Dang.
I'll probably not see it then.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen the last 2 or 3 animated movies anyway.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just hard to get motivated. They pump them out so quickly that.
Yeah, but because
I
they're
felt
so short, they're easy to just throw on.
Because I felt the same. Was it this week? It may have been last week. There was the news that they're looking at what's his face for Commissioner Gordon for the Batman.
From
Westworld, Jeffrey Wright, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting casting choice. But like, I'm like, we cast like all the characters from Batman v Superman only a few years ago. Like at this point, like we've done this casting dance for a lot of the same characters so many times that it's just hard to be that excited anymore. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of him against Robbie Bats.
Robbie Bats.
So I like that. So I'm definitely much more open to the Reeve Batman movie.
Oh no, it'll probably, that has a better chance of being good than most of the DC movies that are coming up.
Yeah.
I think at this point, no, like the hype of a superhero movie in the years leading up to it is something that I just don't think I have the energy for anymore. I don't have that years of hype building up to the thing coming out. People are watching these Marvel announcements and they're announcing Phase 4, and there's some fun stuff in there, but like I'm happy to just forget about those movies now until a trailer comes out.
They're like, oh, this is in the cinema now.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, despite being a Thor fan and Love and Thunder, really, but that's so far away that I'm happy that it's existing. But yeah, the rest of the Phase 4 I don't remember much of outside of that one. So,
yeah, that's one of those announcements where at the time you're like, oh shit, this is cool. That's great that this is happening. And then, I've forgotten all about it until there's a trailer that won't really be entering my mind.
Yeah. Part of it is because there's too much. There's just too much of it now to constantly be hyped for all of it.
You kidding?
Assuming you're not, you may also just be jaded in general by the whole thing. You might have the fatigue.
Yeah.
Which, I do in parts, I suppose, but not to the extent that I thought I had at one point. But it just kind of is what it is. It obviously doesn't help that there's numerous TV shows on like every week. Starting in a couple of days' time at least. There's going to be TV shows on every week.
Man, that was a problem. I have sports on right now, plus trying to get caught up on stuff. It's very difficult.
Bloody sports.
Yes. Also,
I wish I didn't care, but I can't not care. Like it's in my blood.
All right. Well, let's talk about some DC Comics news. For those who it may concern, yes, me and Matt did just record our new weekly 10-15 minute wrestling segment that will be on Patreon.
Didn't even get to the news this time before they started.
That's okay. We're getting it out of the way.
We should have to interrupt a book later, like we did last week. Because it was in the middle of the Flash last week, if I remember.
Yeah.
It was right before the rating, I think.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. So we got a new book. So obviously, New York Comic Con is happening right now, and typically by the time we record on a Saturday, most of the DC panels, and not all of them, but a lot of them will have happened already. Honestly, not that much news, for what there could be from a Comic Con. I feel like it's kind of a light DC news cycle. There's a lot of Marvel stuff. There's a new Thor book announced and all sorts. But the one book we did get announced is Amethyst. We knew that there was going to be an Amethyst book in the Wonder Comics line. Amy Reeder is going to be behind that. She is going to write and draw Amethyst. So, there you go.
The name's familiar. Why do I know Amy Reeder? I'm clicking on this article.
Yeah, the name's definitely familiar enough.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
She would do the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur for Marvel for the last few years.
There's there's a cover to look at, and there's a page of interiors with some art. If you want.
That news armor will load them.
Oh, it is loading. It's fixed.
No, it's not for me.
Oh, it's for me. It's been fixed for me for about a week. Their images are loading again when I click on them.
Damn Newsarama.
I wonder if my Chrome got updated or something and like it's fixed the problem.
Let me try it in Chrome because I'm on Opera.
Oh, there you go.
Because Opera is my go-to. Let's see if Chrome.
Oh, I'm a Chrome guy.
Oh, it works on Chrome. So they've sorted it for Chrome.
So yeah, clearly whatever happened then broke it in all browsers, so they're working through.
Yeah. Which I get why they're starting with things like Chrome. Yeah, the bigger ones that most people are using first.
Either that, or maybe they changed something. It's the browsers themselves that have to fix the way it reads something. Maybe because maybe it's not Newsarama on its own. Maybe it's like a just anything that uses that type of image hosting.
It could be. Well, no, I've never experienced it on any other website.
Nor have I, but you know.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Matt?
No, just about Amethyst. Apparently, Reader said it's going to have a lot of world building, lots of gorgeous landscapes and psychedelic fever dream stuff. So that's, I guess, cool. Gem World's still one of my blind spots, despite Young Justice. So
yeah, I'm not like I feel kind of indifferent towards this. Like it may be good, but maybe bad. But I'm not like.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's my thing, but I'll check out the first issue.
I was a big fan of that New 52 book.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm down for this. I know she said she was working to create her own thing, and then was like, "Hey, do you want to come do Amethyst?" And she just dropped the create her own thing. She's like, "Yeah, that can wait."
Cool.
So that's cool. The only other big announcement really out of Comic-Con, there's a couple other news items from the week, but the only other thing really that came out of Comic-Con, as far as I could find, was this timeline nonsense that they're talking about.
Yeah, which I am yet to find a high-res version of.
Yeah, there's a sort of spreadsheet image that they've been showing, and you can kind of see like it from a distance in some photographs. But I've just got the article here telling us about it. It's split into four. The four eras are the dawn of the heroic age, which kicks off with Wonder Woman's arrival. So they're actually saying Wonder Woman is the first superhero now in continuity.
Well, that's the thing. In a version of continuity, because there's still Flashpoint still happens and changes things even in this timeline.
Well, yeah, sure, but like we're dealing here with the overall continuity of the metaverse, right? Wonder Woman came first. Yeah. You're just being pedantic because you're a prick.
I just thought it was important to note, given that we start talking about World War II in a minute.
The Space Age, which is marked by the arrival of Superman, so pretty soon after, right?
Yeah, it does. There is a breakdown of all the years somewhere.
Relatively short gap there. Age of Crisis, which is Crisis through Flashpoint, so that's kind of our era, if you will. And I say our era, and this is where we all started reading comics, is what I mean by that. And then we have the Flashpoint era, which is Flashpoint until now. So, yeah, so it's broken down into those four. And it's unclear where the DC timeline will debut or how it'll rewrite many of DC's continuity. This Newsarama article mentions that Bendis right now is kind of doing like a weird streamlining thing himself with the future stuff in Millennium and what he's going to be doing with Legion. So it kind of sounds like they're going to try and almost like solidify what continuity is for the past by incorporating all the different past that we're used to.
Well, it's convergence. It all happened, but not really.
Yes. But I feel like John's metaverse thing is going to be a way to kind of make it all work
consolidate
together.
All these things. Yeah. But I've got an article here that because each bit is broken up into year by year.
Yep.
So Generation 1, because they're referred to as generations. Year 1 is Krypton explodes and the rocket lands in Smallville, and then Wonder Woman debuts. And Steve crashes on Themyscira. So that kind of happens at the same time there. And that goes on for about 25 years. So, presumably right before Clark. So he becomes Superboy in secret in year 13, according to this timeline.
But that's still during the Wonder Woman era, the heroic age.
Yeah.
So he lands on Earth at the start of Wonder Woman's time period. He's just not Superman until the Space Age.
That's what I'm telling. Because in the Space Age, starts. It's Batman debuts and Superman debuts. Year 1 of Batman in that point there. So it's interesting how some of these things are gonna line up. I'm looking forward to seeing a proper high-res version of this and digging into it myself.
This is weird about Wonder Woman.
her being
This is
around
so weird.
for that
Yeah.
long before Superman.
Well, it's one of those things that they did it before, but it was Wonder Woman, and then it was like, actually that was Hippolyta, but not
Hippolyta, yeah.
Diana. So maybe that's what we're playing with. I don't know if they're specifically saying this is Diana.
Like, I don't mind Wonder Woman being first necessarily, but
but it's
25 years of her been around before Superman's kind of weird.
I should mention she's only there for 8 years, and then it says she retreats to Themyscira following the dropping of the first atomic bomb. And so she's gone then, and then doesn't come back until whenever the next time it is, somewhere probably. Year 3 of the heroic age, so space age. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
So
if we get a high res version of this, we can dig into it a little bit more in an episode next week maybe, or whatever. Yeah. But very curious that they're doing this. Obviously, this is kind of on its own right now. There's not really like attached to anything they're doing in any books yet. Although I presume that it probably will be in some capacity.
I'm sure it will.
But interesting. All the same. Next up, we did get another book announced earlier in the week. We're getting a Black Label book from Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti. This is another Harley Quinn book. It's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. It's a 4-issue monthly series, and I don't care.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is basically just more of their run. You know, because they did the main Harley Quinn title, but they had the Harley Quinn and Power Girl side mini for a while. This just feels like another one of those. They've just shoved it under Black Label this time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just to differentiate from the run that's still ongoing. And it's just if their run had still been going when this happened, this would have just been another side mini. So
is this this is the 4th Harley Quinn Black Label book though, right? It's insane to me how many Black Label Harley Quinn books there are.
You've got Harleen, you've got Joker Harley, Criminal
Sanity. I'm counting that.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, why not? You've got this.
Okay, maybe it's 3rd, but I don't know. There's a lot for Harley. There's a lot of Harley books. I don't know the other minis she's got right now that aren't Black Label now.
Well, apparently Harley sells.
Apparently she does. She's the hot topic character for DC Comics.
Well, no, but that's interesting. I understand why the merch sells, and the wider public loves Harley. I get that. It's interesting that they are sticking in so many comics. The comics must be selling as well. Like they must be selling well enough to justify it. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep doing it.
It's frustrating. And I say this a week after the best Harley Quinn comic I've ever read. Like, I'm not, like, they can be good. They can clearly be excellent in the right context.
And speaking of Harleen, too, I also feel like that impacted my viewing of the Joker, because there's a lot of similarities, and I feel that Harleen pulls them off in that one issue. It addresses a lot of the same stuff about Gotham, and so... Maybe that impacted too. Yeah. I didn't think about that till now.
Harleen was really good. I ain't gonna not say a Harley Quinn book can be good. I'm just pointing out there's a lot of Harley books, which is no different to the amount of Batman books we often get, because there's a lot of Bat books. But I'm just saying, hey, she's basically getting the same amount as Batman at this point, meaning that there's more Harley Quinn than there is Superman right now.
Apparently she sells better than Superman.
Not surprised.
Yep.
And then pheasants.
Pheasants? You mean peasants?
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I am buying more Harley Quinn than Superman right now.
Because you're the worst.
Yeah, but you suck and you're terrible.
Yeah.
Don't be like Connor, people.
I'm just saying, Harleen is better than any Superman book in the last year.
Hey, Matt, I was watching a movie on stream the other night.
Yeah.
And it was a German film. It involved this little alien mutated baby thing that kept showing up. And for some reason, in the chat, people just started referring to it as Connor. And that became the thing throughout the whole movie. It was like, oh no, Connor's coming for her.
I was wondering where this was going, and it didn't disappoint.
Last bit of news I've got, maybe you guys have got something to add on that I've somehow missed, but a slight change, although an important one, to the Batman Annual number 4 that's coming out at the end of this month. It was going to be a Lee Weeks issue, and unfortunately it is no longer going to be Lee Weeks. Mike Norton has replaced him.
Yeah, this sucks, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, Lee Weeks is great. Obviously, I was looking forward to some Lee Weeks.
Yeah. Not saying that no one's bad. I'm not super familiar with him, but I do love Lee Weeks. So that's just disappointing in that sense.
Yeah. Jorge Fornes is also there, but I think he was always doing like the second story as opposed to...
He was, yeah.
So, yeah. So it's a bit of bad news there in that sense, but not the end of the world.
I just want to say it is a completely different story as well. This isn't just an artist replacement. Norton's doing an entirely different story to whatever Weeks was supposed to be doing.
I wonder if that's because it's going to end up getting used in Batman Catwoman or something like that. Like King's putting it elsewhere.
Possibly, yeah.
I could see that being a thing that happens. So, no, that's the annual. It's out on the 30th of October, so that's the week 5 on this month. Oh, it's the 5th week month, that's right. But what else had one of those? I suppose that makes sense. So that is the news, unless you guys have anything else that I've missed.
I've got a couple of smaller little bits.
Can't wait to hear these. I bet that's super important.
Well, one that I think is relatively exciting, even though it's a relatively small piece of news. Basket Full of Heads, the upcoming Hill House comic, has been expanded to 7 issues instead of the originally solicited 6. So we're getting a bit more of that.
That's about what, a 12% part of a news story.
Just saying, it's worth noting. And then we've got the final issue of Deceased, which is out later this month because we're getting both of them this month. I'm assuming it's week 5. Yeah. It's actually going to be bigger now. So instead of solicited as 32, which is obviously standard 20 pages, it's now solicited as 48. So it's probably 28 to 30 pages. They're not upping the price. They're just giving us extra story.
Okay.
So we've got more Deceased to look forward to than we expected.
Especially how this one went. I expect a lot of unpacking.
Yeah. We'll get there. And then the last one, just a delay to Batman Creature of the Night issue 4 was solicited for October. It is now coming out the end of November. So that is now a full 2 years after its first issue. Which, yeah.
Is it really? Wow.
Yep.
Wait, did that start the same month as Doomsday Clock?
November 2017 that started. Yeah.
It's the same month as Doomsday Clock.
What's amazing is issue 2 hit in December 2017. So it managed to hit 2 issues back to back. And then here we are.
Guess it happens. It happens. All right, there you go. That's the news, which means we can get on to the comic books of the week. And we are going to, in fact, start with Deceased issue 5. Tom Taylor writing with Trevor Hairsine on the art. And Matt, did you go through a lot of tissues at the end of this issue?
Oh, big time. I was super bummed out.
I expected as much.
Yeah.
I read it right before we left to go to the hockey game, which that was a mistake. But yeah. Hooey. Didn't expect it to go this way.
This is pretty fantastic.
This opens with the aftermath of the bombs going off at the end of issue 4. We find that the Green Lantern in this case being Black Canary or Green Canary or you know what I mean.
I think we settled on Green Canary.
Yeah, Green Canary.
Yeah.
She shields everyone in the Daily Planet with a bubble, but the city's been devastated, and Lex Luthor shows up, and you know what he says? Look what happened to our city. He says "our," which
he's broken. He's completely devastated by this. He drops to his knees and is like, I didn't want this to happen.
Yeah, he's actually like honestly looking for Superman's help, maybe for the first time ever.
Well, because the way that he's introed, it looks like he's pointing and yelling at him, like almost he's gonna blame Superman. And then Superman comes over and does the cool red eye thing, and then he goes, "Truce, I'm not here to fight." And then he drops to his knees and says, "Look what happened to our city." And you're like, and I'm like, "Oh man."
This is my favorite portrayal of Luthor, where it's the he's evil in a sense as he wants to beat Superman and all those sort of plans, but he doesn't want to reduce the Earth to dust. That's not his interest. He wants to be the savior of mankind.
Well, so you're saying you don't like the version in Smallville where we flash forward to his future and he's president and he's launching 100 nukes to murder the entire planet?
I'm okay with the president and him launching nukes against another state because that seems like what Luthor could do. It's only the okay. where he'll let them hit America that I find it hard to grasp as.
Oh,
being
and they
Luthor.
definitely were, because it was stock footage.
Were, yeah.
It was stock footage from Terminator 3, and that's exactly what they were doing in that movie. So.
Look, I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying I can buy, President Luthor I'm okay with, because again that tracks with it. Him launching nukes against another country, yeah, again I can still buy that from Luthor, because as long as his people, as he sees it, are okay, that kind of tracks with what I'd expect from him.
Yeah. So the team at this point start talking about where to keep people, the survivors. They destroy the internet so it can't spread, at least through technology. It can still spread through people, of course, the old-fashioned zombie way. But they take out satellites and cables in the ocean and flashes, speed forcing through server rooms and all sorts. And they make a couple of safe havens. They basically lift some ocean bed, Superman and Wonder Woman and Mira, to make a new island. Plus, Diana asks for Themyscira to open its doors essentially to people.
Yeah, they don't make an entirely new island. They just add on to Themyscira to make it bigger.
Yeah, they pull it up from the seafloor.
Yeah,
to make Themyscira bigger.
They make it an annex, so it's a separate little side to it. But they also want to use Gotham, which is turned into a forest. It's a jungle. It's been created overnight, obviously from Poison Ivy. And Damien's wearing his bat suit, and he's very small. He's like a Batman who's 5 foot tall. It's kind of
it is amusing, because you've got Dinah and Ollie stood there next to him, just and he's up to their shoulders.
Yeah, no, it's
why,
neat.
Why are you here? Why is a Robin dressed as a tiny Batman?
Oh dear. And Harley's like, come on, Ivy, be nice, let people in.
We talked about this. You can be a benevolent jungle queen.
And Ivy's like, there'll be rules. If anyone damages the plants.
I love that when she's like, there'll be rules, Harley's so excited. She's like, yes, got it.
Yeah, and obviously they're using the fortress as well, as it makes sense. Notably, the old Daily Planet globe is half destroyed, but it's sitting outside. Obviously, they've used that as a transportation method with the Green Lantern ring or whatever, which is a nice touch. I also like that Luthor's like, Cyborg, you're quite smart and useful. Why have we never worked together? Because you always try to kill me and my friends.
Sure, but in my defense, that was before I realized you could be useful.
Oh dear. But yeah, so they're looking at arcs because Earth's not safe anymore, although Superman's insisting that they should stay and it should fight for the planet.
Which is on brand for him. He's not losing another one.
Yeah. I love Lex here again. He's like, and as the most intelligent person on the planet. And he's like, wait a second, Batman's dead, right?
Dead?
Yeah, right. Then I am the most intelligent person on the planet.
Yeah, and of course he then starts rubbing in that Clark's had 2 dead worlds and Lois clocks him in the face. Which is very cathartic, of course. It's very enjoyable. The best part of it, though, is Lois noticing John watching, saying, "Oh, violence never solves anything, John. It's never the answer." It's it looked pretty good answer to that just then.
Taylor's so on point in this issue with the emotion, because there's so much emotional tension with this. They're building a new society, and they've lost so many people. And then you get these fun moments Batman, I'm the smartest. And here, with violence is never the answer.
Except then.
Yeah, then, right now. But yeah, and everything's going a little bit too well because they get to mourn all the people, that they've lost, and they're relocating to the Gotham jungle and to Themyscira, and they're building the arcs, and we get Barry and Dinah and Ollie all mourning Hal, which is nice because I feel sometimes you don't get those types of moments in a story like this.
In these stories.
Yeah.
This took a moment. I mean, it's not a huge moment. It's one panel, but it's enough.
Exactly.
But then infected John Jones shows up and is absolutely devastating, and first of all, completely kills Lex. Lex gets split in half. From John Jones, and then he infects Barry, and it's like, shit, Barry just got infected. And it's actually Firestorm who beats John with his powers. Sense. But it's like, holy shit, Barry's infected and he just sped off at super speed. So Superman's like, no, Wally, we can't risk losing you. I'll go deal with Barry. And his whole plan is he can't catch up with them, and Barry's running around at super speed infecting civilians. Like, he's just, like, it's the worst possible thing. So Superman flies, into space, goes around the other side of the planet, and he's like, no, my plan is to just sort of fly into him head on. And I love the touch here, where he's like, right, Cyborg, just let me know Flash is dead. He's like, promise me. Like, he is like, make sure he's already dead. You promise me that he is already dead before I do this. And he basically flies through him at super speed, and it actually made me think of The Boys.
Me too. Yeah,
the opening stuff from The Boys. But of course, so this is already dark as shit. Superman doing this is already like a really weird and like violent like scene.
But he's got no choice. He's saving. However much life is left on the planet. I don't want to put a number on that because I don't feel like there's enough to say millions. I don't know. But
some of Barry's bones penetrate Clark's stomach. And I feel like we could argue about like should this be possible. It's Speed Force, bro. Just go.
I'm gonna say there's no. It's not a physical penetration. It's the the vibration. He phases through him as he splatters, and they get stuck inside.
Sure. That's fair. So Superman, because he's Superman, is able to fight off the infection for a small time, just to say goodbye and explain what's happening to him. And he actually uses Wallace to sort of get Lois, John, and Macken into speed force time, so that he's got enough time to say goodbye. And he's like, thank you for choosing me. I found you across the stars. All this romantic stuff, hugging John and like all the stuff you'd expect from this type of goodbye. And the final page of the book is Superman flying as far away from Earth as he can before it overtakes him, and it just this is where we find out who's narrating the whole time, because the narration refers to him as my husband. So we find out Lois has been the narrator the entire time, and Clark in space, and he's still sort of in the vicinity. I think he's next to the moon actually. By the looks of it. Yeah.
He's not far enough away.
Yeah, he's not far enough away.
Is that still the Earth?
It could still
be
the Earth.
Say with the color, because everything's tinged red with the blast.
But he just starts blasting heat vision in space, and it's like, if he's not far enough away and he comes back to Earth, like, they are screwed.
I mean, here's the thing: does kryptonite still work on a
undead
zombie?
Undead Clark.
Anti-life Superman.
Maybe, but it still has the same problem that they had with Barry of the the speedster infection, because he can move not that fast, but plenty fast.
But the fact that he goes straight into heat vision, you know what I mean? Like,
it's destructive because it's immediately like a time bomb.
Yeah,
that's him gone.
Yeah.
So Superman has been infected and is now the most dangerous.
This did not make me feel good.
Yeah, he's the most dangerous entity on the planet, or slightly off planet.
Around the planet.
Yeah, no, that's hard. I think all the stuff it was doing before then, with explaining how they're trying to like save whoever's left, was working well, and then you get to this last half of the book where it's Flash has been infected, Superman has to deal with it, and then he gets infected himself. All that stuff was just emotionally gut punching.
Oh,
so it's like
incredible.
Yeah, I felt like, oh, okay, we'll have an epilogue issue, after this about how society reformed, and Taylor goes, oh, that's cute.
I mean, I will say I do kind of wish the book had a better artist, but like. The story's solid.
I'm a really big fan of this art for this personally. It's actually been
growing on me
more and more.
Yeah, this issue it hit a lot of the emotional moments.
Hairsigns like faces and stuff just don't really work for me. All of these like characters are really lanky. They feel a bit skinny. I don't know. It's just a constant thing that's been through all of these issues.
The lanky thing I get, it stopped bothering me for whatever reason. I used to notice it a lot in the first couple of issues. Now it's just there, not really even thinking about it anymore. The faces I disagree with. I think it's nailing a lot of the faces, especially in this issue with the expressions and points.
Yep.
Like Superman's face when he's flying through Barry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
pain.
Yeah.
It's emotional pain.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just those conversations, like, even though I really like the dialogue when, after Lois punches Lex, like, Lois's face as she's talking to the kids there, doesn't really work for me. It just feels a bit off. And there's a lot of faces like that in this issue, and in Hairsine's other issues of this series. I just don't like how he draws faces or people. and people are kind of an important part of drawing comics. So it's kind of an issue. More on that when we get to Batman, because we've got a great artist in that too. So, but no, it's a solid issue. It has a lot of big emotional beats, and the ending's fantastic. So, Matt, what are you giving Deceased number 5?
I'm gonna give this one a 9. It's really good. It's literally an emotional roller coaster.
All right, Connor?
Yeah, I'm going with a 9.
I'm going to go with an 8, just because of the art. That's where it loses its point for me. But there you go, that's Deceased number 5, which will take us on to Batman number 80, which is Tom King writing with John Romita Jr. on art. This was a nasty, nasty surprise.
I opened this up at work on Wednesday. I got it digitally, and I made a huge mistake.
Yeah, I
should have waited.
I will say I love Morey's colors.
Sure, I opened it up, I saw the cover and went, oh god, it's got a Romita cover. Oh well, looking forward to the interior art at least. And then I looked at the thing that said Romita Jr. on art. I'm like, oh no, the whole thing's going to be.
This is just what you wanted for Batman's return to Gotham, right?
Do you know the sad part is I actually think the story in this is pretty good. I like the issue.
Yep.
I think the writing's solid. I like what's happening, but
it has one of my most hated moments of the last 10 issues.
Of course it does. Of course Connor's here to complain about King's Batman.
What one page in particular? We'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there. It starts off, Batman's actually matches Malone at first, and he encounters what's my face? Professor Pig and Two-Face. I hate how Romita's Two-Face looks. I'll say that right off. He looks like he's 14. Well,
It gave me flashbacks to
All-Star.
All-Star, and I hated that story so much as a Two-Face fan.
Yeah, because
we're already off to a rough start.
Oh, absolutely.
For me,
obviously he ends up fighting them, and taking them down. And this issue is largely about like, okay, he's back in Gotham, and this is like people in Gotham slowly realizing the Batman's back. And so we have this scene with Two-Face and Professor Pig, and we see him open his shirt and he's got the bullets have hit his armor underneath. We see Strange talking to Flashpoint Batman, and Strange is like, nah, he can't be back. Because Flashpoint Batman is basically, he's here, tell Bane. He's like, no, he was so broken, there's no way he's back. And seriously, Strange, after all this time, you're going to doubt the Batman? Like, how many times has he come back?
I understand men, their psychology. No, you don't.
No, it really doesn't. Likewise, Catwoman gets a pretty cool introduction where Mad Hatter is going to shoot a cat. And you can cast as soon as it's going to be threatening to a cat, you know where this is going. This is going to be Catwoman's entrance.
So I know he wears a very large hat.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a very long gun. Is that what you're saying?
Did he become a magician?
I actually think he is doing some stage magic. Given that the start of this, he's talking about everyone wants some magical solution to their problems.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I think Mad Hatter's into stage magic now.
That makes sense. And you have Catwoman's just silhouette at the end after she whips him, pulls him back with the whip, and we just hear the cat purring at the end. Is comfortable. We see Kite Man, and maybe this is the page Connor hates that's coming up. I don't know, because I kind of loved it. Not the art because Romita Jr., but Kite Man's gliding through the air. In the rain.
Imagine any of the other artists we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Tony Daniel.
I know.
On this part.
Give me Tony Daniel. Give me Yanni. Give me Clayman. Any of the other artists we've had on this one. But so basically, Kite Man gets nabbed with a rope. He's upside down, and we get a full page spread of him dangling upside down. And because before the page turn, he's like, "You're back?" ? And Batman up in the corner of this building, looking down at him, just says, "Hell yeah." Like, I think this page is perfect. For everything I've had in this run, this is a perfect nice little uplifting moment.
No, this is what I hate.
Of course,
part of me thinks that Batman, hell yeah, I had a problem with that. I understand it, right? Because it leans into the whole Kite Man,
Selena saying this? Sure.
Yeah.
Damien saying this? Absolutely. Bruce saying this? No.
I hate to say this, but I agree with Connor.
Nah, you have to imagine it with the right tone. You have to imagine him saying it in the right way, but it works.
Oh, so like Christian Bale growling it? Is that what you're talking about?
Just imagine animated series Batman with that smirk. That side mouth smirk that he had sometimes.
I get that, but King's Batman has never felt like that Batman, so that doesn't feel fair to suddenly go, that's this Batman.
A little bit happy.
It works for me. He's back with Selena. He's in a good mood, all right. Like he's feeling good about life. Kite Man's upside down. I don't know. I like this page. But then you have Gotham Girls freaking out. She's needing another dose of whatever she's taking to keep.
Probably
sane.
Venom. Right?
Probably Venom, yeah. And he's all, you know, she's all freaking out, and Thomas is trying to like kind of calm her down. But it's like, no. For what he's done to you, I'm going to find him and, you know, do whatever. Batman has a face-off with Hush, in the rain.
Here's my problem with this Gotham Girl narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So what Bruce has done to her when Bruce tried to help her numerous times. Whereas Thomas talking about he's gonna flip on Bane now because this is not working. Like, this is my problem with Gotham Girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of unclear. It might just be kind of them manipulating how she thinks of Bruce, even though we know obviously he just tried to help her. God, I hate Romita art so much. I'm looking at some of the next couple of pages, and like Batman's face just looks horrendous.
I love the colors though, and I can see these colors over Fornes art. We've had a few issues of him on Batman. And...
Yeah, I'm not faulting the colors, but I mean the colors don't really matter when the line works this bad.
but this particular coloring I can see on Fornes art, and it would look phenomenal.
I guess so he throws a batarang at him, this little stand up. It's basically him going around taking out some of the big villains, right? That's kind of the thing. Batman's back, and also the ventriloquist is Batman, or is his Flashpoint Batman's Alfred
Butler?
Yeah. Okay. Why not? But yeah, so he goes off, and apparently Bane's ordered that he should maybe kill the boy, meaning Damien. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of leads us to what our big cliffhanger is, Thomas goes into the cave, Damien's dangling upside down, and Bruce knows that that's what he's probably going to do next. So that's where this is kind of going. And he's kind of banking that Thomas might not make the decision to do this, that Thomas might actually have some modicum of morality or attachment or something.
Right.
That'll stop him.
Because the whole reason he did this was to save Bruce's, so Bruce can be happy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be Batman anymore. And he'll shoulder that burden. But now this burden has transferred to Thomas, and it's not at all what he wanted to be. That's why What?
I was going to say, can I talk about how the second last panel, when, Catwoman's there with him, with Batman, the Batman cowl looks more like a Wolverine mask than it does a Batman
mask. Yeah.
It does that, too, in the scene with Hush, where where it's like the Old West, High Noon Showdown. All I was getting was Wolverine. Like, even his proportions. Like, to me, Batman's not short and stocky, right? He is when
Romita draws him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So... But no, I just feel like this plays into...
I think what I will say Romita draws well in this issue is Flashpoint Batman's shoulder pads. Those always look pretty good.
I hate them still.
I hate them, but I think they look objectively good from Romita, even if I hate the design of
it. I want a consensus in the comments and on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Yay or nay in the hell yeah page. I want opinions.
It's terrible from this particular Batman.
Especially, I love hearing people side with me over Connor.
You do.
That's always good news. But seriously, here's the conflicted thing about this issue, is I actually think I like the story a lot. I like the feeling of like Batman coming back to the city, kind of picking away at the villains and everyone being like, he's back. That feels good. They are.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
The Legend of Batman.
Oh, yeah, it makes good. But the art is...
terrible.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
Can't be doing it. His faces look bad. The proportions look bad. Like everyone has stubble. because John Romita,
even Damien.
Yeah, even Damien has stubble because he can't help but draw little
to be
lines.
fair, how old is Damien at this point?
13.
Not old enough to have stubble. I don't think Damien will ever be able to grow a beard. He's,
Sure, but stubble is different.
I don't know. Stubble leads to a beard.
Yeah, but
So I don't think so, Connor.
most people could still grow stubble.
Then it has to be super
I know
patchy.
several women who can, but sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if it's just stubble in the form of Roz's like mustache goatee combo, like maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah. With that in his blood, there's no way he's not growing a magnificent beard.
Yeah, I don't think he has stubble though.
Yeah, it's a frustrating. I mean, obviously, like I think the issue is good. It's a good issue. Although Connor probably disagrees because Connor hates everything.
No,
I hate everything. I'm just bored of this run at this point, and this has moments that I actively dislike, combined with terrible art, which doesn't make for a pleasant reading experience, does it?
Matt, what are you rating it?
I'm gonna give it a 7 because the story was good enough, but the art. This could have been like an 8.5, but that art, man. I do not like JR. I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I always feel bad for crapping on him, but his art style is not for me.
Connor?
Give it a 5.
I'm going to agree with the 7. Much like Matt, it would probably be an 8 or 8.5 had the art been good. Hell, if the art had been amazing, it could have even gone higher than that. But, yes, there you go. That will take us on to Justice League issue 33, Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, with Bruno Redondo and Daniel Sampere on the art. So much like the formula of the last couple of issues, it's very similar again. We have the stuff in the present day with Lex and Perpetua, now with the monitors kind of coming together to sort of meet them, and then we have the past stuff with the GSA with Hal and Barry. And of course, Aquaman was revealed at the end of the last issue, and that was some weird interference we just got there.
Yeah, I think it came from Max. I had it too.
Okay.
I didn't get it, so it's probably me.
Yeah. Is your phone near your mic, Matt, or near the cable?
No.
It's not.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. That's all over here. My phone's over here.
Just check it. Just check it, because sometimes that
I
can be the
gotcha.
culprit.
No, I gotcha.
And then, of course, in the future, we have the Trinity with Brainiac 1 million. So that's what it's point out. The last issue, we introduced Brainiac 1 million, and then in this issue, we have the Ultra Monitor.
Yeah.
This book is going deep with the absurd comic book names, things.
Though, the Ultra Monitor is cool as shit.
The Ultra Monitor reminded me of Captain Planet, and I mean that as a compliment.
It looks great. I love
By
the
your
giant
powers
sack.
combined, I am the Ultra Monitor.
I mean, it looks like he's got a bit of a gut, actually. His belly's looking a little bit puffy.
And
I mean, there's 3 of them in there.
that's where the strength comes from, Pete.
Is this Matt's next cosplay? Next time he goes to a con?
Shh, don't ruin it for people.
I am the Ultra Monitor.
To see that.
Oh dear. So the JSA crew are on their way to Atlantis. They kind of ask Aquaman how he came back, and he mentions the Anti-Monitor saving him. This kind of murkied things up though, because we thought that this was set maybe before his first arc in the solo book with Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, but it kind of implies that it's not via the editor's note. So
yeah, I think the impression I got was, so he went straight from the ending of Drowned Earth. That's where he had his moment with the Anti-Monitor. And then when he was sent back, he was sent back, and that's when we got the first arc of Kelly Sue's stuff.
Yeah, so but where does the stuff with him remembering Mira killing him coming into all this?
Remember? Yeah, because he died.
Yeah.
Was that in Drowned Earth, and he was laying low?
Well, that was the initial assumption, but then we saw that Mira killed him in that weird flashback he had.
But that's what I mean.
So the way
I don't know.
the way that we fixed this in our heads last issue was that the Mira killing him is going to happen at the end, later on in this story, and that would lead into his solo book. But now that they've confirmed that that's already happened,
the Mira thing is not as clear as we have assumed in the past.
Very
maybe it's
possible.
more metaphorical.
Very possible, but it went okay. Everything we were thinking last time about the timeline of this has just been kind of dealt with.
I feel like if we wait until the end of this story, maybe it'll piece together a bit better.
Yeah,
as with a lot of comic stories, to be honest, when they're concurrently running.
Yeah. But this one makes it a bit more confusing, whereas I think there's some examples later, particularly in Lois Lane, of stuff happening in books that ties into other books that makes it all feel like a coherent world, that everything's happening together.
Yeah.
I feel like here, this Aquaman stuff is just inherently a little bit like, wait, what's happening? How does this fit with that? And
it does, but it is far from the most egregious case of that, even in the last year.
It is, but what I'm saying is that there's examples where it enhances the story, and then this is kind of the opposite, where it's taking me out of it for a second, because I'm actually having to think about it. I'm like, okay, how does this fit with that?
There's two separate stories that are ongoing, and okay, well, when they're finished, we'll slot them in, but in the moment, it's a bit jarring. I'll grant you that.
Yeah. So, and Alan and John are kind of bonding a little bit about being ring slingers, and John's like, oh man, like, things don't even feel like they're any better in our time than compared to yours, and he's like, we're not expecting you to fix everything, just always be there to fight evil, blah blah blah. So that's going on. The Trinity are dealing with Brainiac 1 million, who's kind of making easy work of them, to be honest. He's kind of picking them up like the little kids, and
Command is just sat there chilling on a rooftop watching.
He's just waiting around for his final page so he can do his big reveal, his big cliffhanger.
Much, yeah. It's pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, I will say I like Kendra in this issue. I love her having a potty mouth and like dropping. Obviously, it's censored, but she's dropping like F-bombs and stuff, and all sorts.
She worked up.
She's getting angry at Lex, and I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I've not been a big fan of this Lex for a while, but I'm definitely not a fan in this issue of him having A, T-1000 arms, and then B, turning into the version of the Joker's at the end of the first Arkham Asylum game where he gets all big and Bane-like.
I mean, this is all because he kind of absorbed John, so he's got his shape-shifting ability.
Yeah, that's what makes him the apex predator.
Yeah,
I get the why. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Okay, fair enough.
I just don't like the visual of it. Like
I like him goading Kendra a lot, like to unleash early.
Sure. Which she does because she's supposed to like hold her wings in her, her totality wings, until the monitors have opened the portal to the other two teams in the other timelines, which they can only do once they've got pieces of the totality, which they don't have yet. So Kendra's kind of blown a load, which could be a problem, although I'm sure they'll deal with it. I will say, the others going into Atlantis, I actually for a second, it took me a while to notice the green outline on them to tell us that the Green Lantern was protecting them from.
Okay, I thought it was quite an obvious outline.
Well, no, it is when you look up at the group shot of them all going down together. Because even in the wide shot at the top, where they're just kind of in the distance, they're just all green. But I wasn't really kind of like taking it in, and I got to the Wildcat panel at the bottom, and I went, "How is he just floating in water without giving a shit?" And I'm like, "Oh, it was a green outline. Never mind."
Yeah.
But
I forgot how much I love Wildcat.
Yeah, he's one of those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they try and talk to the king. Arthur's like, "Oh, he's my
a little bit complicated, but in my time, I'm one of you fellas."
Yeah, he's like my father or grandfather or whatever. Like, just go along with it. But Cheetah and Sinestro and Grodd show up, and they've got Poseidon on chains.
Yep.
He's basically Cheetah's bitch right now, and and then Vandal Savage shows up with his Legionnaires Club, because apparently this run's going to pull every single character possible out of everything of all time in DC Comics. So
I'm okay with that.
I'm a little bit numb to it at this point. By the time it got to the reveal at the end of the issue, I'm like, okay, I get it. We can pull things from anywhere.
I thought I was, but then I got to the last page and I went, oh shit, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, because we're basically at the end here where everyone's getting beat. You know, Brainiac 1 million's electrocuting the Trinity. Kendra's fighting Lex, and Vandal Savage is facing down, you know, Lantern flashing Aquaman, and then Commandy's like, you know, recruited Batman Beyond and the other Beyond Justice League members, which is the final page reveal.
We need to win more justice.
Yep. We need more justice. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I've been typically enjoying this arc, and you know, the JSA stuff and the stuff in the future. I will say I'm a little bit numb to the big reveals in this now because it is just pulling in from everywhere.
Yeah, I want to know who this Legionnaires Club is because I want to read a story about them.
Of course you do.
Yeah, they
Matt.
look cool as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge Batman Beyond fan. I have very little attachment. But I still thought it was cool. Well, you know, oh, hey, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
You know, it still had impact on me as someone who doesn't care about Batman Beyond. I assume people who do care. This felt pretty big for them.
We'll get to Millennium, but I feel like whatever happens from here is what lays the groundwork for Millennium, which then Millennium lays the groundwork for what's going on in Legion, which will set up that whole new timeline thing.
Yeah,
you know, like one begets the other. So.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, that's just fine. As easily the best art of the week so far, which the bar was not that high for me, admittedly. But, you know, so that's got that going for it, at least. Like, I feel like, I mean, this was the last book I read, and I think, even though I've been typically enjoying this arc, I always put it off till last because it's always the most wordy one I have, and it was easily the most wordy book I had this week.
That's funny, given that your logic previously is, okay, the big books I'm going to do first because they take longer. So it's strange to me that this one that presumably takes longer to read, you then go, right, I'll leave it till last.
Because, yeah, but it's... okay, the big books, though, I still kind of looking forward to reading. Whereas Justice League, I mean, I would not look forward to reading it, but it's definitely... Like, this one's going to be the most that's... Because some issues of this have been a chore to read, and I never know before I read it if it's going to be one of those issues. So it always gets put off till last because I'm like, oh, dude, you know... Well, I like this week's issue, I don't know. Maybe it'll be like that issue, that villains issue we had that was like... Batman Who Laughs and stuff back at like issue 8, which was terrible. Whatever issue number that was.
Oh, but that was so long ago now.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree it was terrible, but Jesus, if you're still hanging on to that for every issue.
Well, no, that wasn't the only one that I disliked, though. That's just the one that came to mind as being the worst.
Fair enough.
There's been other issues I've been pretty down on in this run.
Yeah, I suppose you have.
But I didn't like this one as much as the last couple. I think the formula of the last few issues really settled into this one, I thought, where it was just a little bit of advancement in each plot, and you know, I almost wonder, would it have worked better to have a full issue of just the JSA like in the past, a full issue of just the future stuff, and a full issue of the present day team, and like let them all have their own little stories, kind of breathe, as opposed to cutting between them all like this, because it does get to the point where it feels like there's just a little bit of each one in each issue. Just kind of like sneaking along. And I was kind of feeling it in this one mostly. And then, you know, and the big reveals are fine. I'm just a little bit numb to them at this point because I feel like so much of this run has been revealing other things from DC's history, just sort of coming out. And I guess this final one here feels the most stunty one to me, I guess. Oh, that's a word.
It's just
stunt-like.
I mean, it's par for the course. It's staying consistent for me, so
yeah,
I'm okay with all this. I like but I like the pulpiness. I like the different teams being assembled and whatnot.
I personally quite like Snyder going, screw it, let's do everything in one big story. You know, we've said before, this is Snyder by way of Morrison.
Yeah.
And I feel that with the way he kind of treats all these other things that he's bringing in, there's the reveals and, you know, okay, here's Batman Beyond now. It's like, okay, cool. It feels like, you know, Morrison did a lot of that work with admittedly smaller things just because he loves stupid tiny little things. He's like, I'm making this a thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like if there was more time given to all these like reveals to actually like where every idea felt like it was. I feel like he's just going through a lot of ideas very quickly, and I don't feel like I'm getting enough time to really care about any of them, and give them all the weight that they probably should deserve. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. But I feel like this story is just it's for as deep as Snyder wants to go, it's not going to take its time. Not that it's rushing either, because I'm fine with that. But
this is pretty steady pacing wise.
Yeah, he's just scraping the surface, and so that's why I feel stuff will pay off later. So, and he's seeding the ground that way.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's much better than All-Star Batman, and it's much better than, some of his later regular Batman run. But, it's very up and down for me. I've been very kind of, as bizarre as this sentence is, I've been very consistently up and down with this book over the course of this run. And like I say, I think this arc is one of the best ones, but I am starting to feel the formula of how it's structured each issue with the different teams. But still, certainly not the low point of the book, because we definitely had that. I wasn't big in the Thanagar Prime issues, and I wasn't big on some of the other stuff that I'm sure I'm forgetting. So it's all in one set of eyes and out the other.
Yeah. So the first stuff with Vandal, Savage, and all this. That was all seeded back in 18. So
yeah, I remember enjoying that a lot.
Because I'm just looking up because I'm trying to figure out who these characters are. But
they have some great designs, don't they?
They do. But I don't think there's names or anything for them. But if we can get a JSA story of JSA versus these guys,
oh yes, I need it.
Let's do it.
I need it so badly.
You may, if there's going to be a GSA book after this.
We've got, as far as I'm concerned, the dude on the left is Proto Deadshot.
Yep.
With the eye thing.
Yep. Well, and then you also have Proto. I mean, the steampunk lady with the top hat.
Yeah.
Kind of the same there.
You've got kind of like an early Blue Beetle-esque suit in the back.
In the back, almost like Black Beetle.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got very classic, explorer, archaeologist character.
The glasses give me a Savannah vibe.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, but yeah, whoever those guys are, yeah. But no, I like this issue. I mean, art's pretty consistent throughout, so.
For the most part, Aquaman has some dodgy feet at one point.
Yeah.
While he's swimming. The page with all the green outlines that Pete was talking about.
Yeah.
If you look at that right in the middle, Aquaman's feet are just a bit strange. But mostly it's pretty good.
But yeah, and the Ultra Monitor, if this is gonna be a thing going forward, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
where it's like the biggest type of crisis. Because when you think about the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor, they were introduced during the first crisis. So the fact that they can join together
at some point in the next.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, what we rating it then, Matt?
8.5.
Connor?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 8.5.
7 for me. Good, but feeling some kinks.
Ooh.
Roughness. Not kinks like that, Matt. Get your head out the gutter. How do you like your monitors? I like them all combined.
That's right. 3-in-1.
I like the 3-in-1 Ultra monitor.
Oh man.
Oh dear. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that joke. Anyway, let's move on. Let's just move on swiftly to the next book, which is Legion of Superheroes Millennium, issue 2. Brian Michael Bendis writing with Jim Cheung, Jeff Dekal, Nicola Scott, and Ryan Sook on the art. Once again, it's jumping through time periods, and with each time period difference, we get a different artist. So once again, it's Rose, and she is traveling through. Well, so I say traveling. She's literally just living through all these time periods.
Living through all these times,
yeah.
And the first one, she goes to the Space Museum. As soon as I saw the Space Museum, I got very excited.
Of course she did.
Because I know who worked at the Space Museum. And I was
Mhm.
like, am I going to get him? And sure as hell, there's John Michael Carter, or Michael John Carter. I always flip him. Working as a security guard, and she gets to interact with Booster. So, and we also get some really cool Nicola Scott art with like history of the DCU
Mhm.
playing out.
Yeah, at one point they're
Like,
walking past like holograms that are doing like
yeah,
Green Lantern, like holding his ring up. Justice League fighting Starro, classic Batman and Robin, then Shazam, you know, doing his
yeah.
lightning
Well,
strike.
and you got Superman versus Doomsday and the JSA meeting, um, and then Crisis with the death of Supergirl, and stuff. So that's all real cool. But they're basically having a conversation about what it was like during that Age of Heroes. And Rose is basically like, no, it's not as great as you thought it was. Like, they were all liars.
How
And
did
she's all just very down.
Yeah, how did you feel about the running gag here with Booster? Uh,
And friends.
yeah, talking about Friends and talking about the
So
the Bing show.
I loved it as the
Uh-huh.
fact that I enjoy Friends from time to time. And if Booster's going to relate to a character, of course it's Chandler. And
Uh-huh.
so him butchering all the stuff from this very old show and whatnot, I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, his last page, he actually says, like, could I be any more of a superhero? Like,
Hmm.
it's this whole thing. Um, so yeah, and then we go further in time, of course, or as the book refers to it as and then, which I'm not gonna lie,
Right.
even now I hear and then, and all I can hear is the drive-through. Dude, where's
And
my
dude, where's my
car?
car?
Yeah.
And then.
Oh dear, and we got
Uh,
Omak, who's powered by Brother Eye.
Here's my problem with Omac and Brother Eye. I know that DDO has such a thing for this character,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't get past it. I'm sure Omac's a great concept, but um, I don't know. I heard Brother Eye, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you see Omac take out all these people. He's in the middle of a war zone. He's trying to evacuate the city. He calls help Brother Eye, but he hits around the corner, and there's Thorn looking all like future war. Like, I definitely got Terminator vibes here.
Yeah, she looks like she's in Mad Max
Yeah.
or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and they have a discussion about, you know, you're waging this war and you're destroying everything, but why? And he's like, oh, because we have to and whatnot. And she's like, oh, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff. And she starts talking about heroes again, like she was with Booster.
Yeah, I mean,
And
this issue largely is her losing hope and then kind of finding it again.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
essentially the gist. This is the Jim Cheung art of
yeah,
the book,
yeah.
which is not bad. I mean, I feel like Chung's faces sometimes feel a little like a very minor.
Blocky.
They feel like just almost slightly John Romita Jr.-esque at times, just a
Yeah,
little bit. Like there's just a little bit to the mouth sometimes,
yeah,
but he's much better. Don't get me wrong, he is miles
yeah.
better.
Well, that's what I mean. They're very blocky. Like, I feel like every character has a square head,
Oh
even when
yeah,
it's rounded. So,
yeah.
um,
Of course, though, my favorite art of the book was the next section,
yeah.
because holy shit, this space stuff when she's got the spacesuit on.
My only problem is it doesn't seem to match anything else. Like, it's so good, but then the format changes to
Oh,
fit
it's
the
so
art.
yeah, it's so different, and it's just
Yeah,
this narration that's not got the boxes anymore. It's just her sort of writing in a journal. Although it does switch between green and pink text, the green being Thorn instead
yeah,
of Rose.
yep.
But it's so beautiful. Like it is stunning to look at. Please, more of this art somewhere, please.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I'm assuming this is the Jeff Dekal
Yeah,
art.
I assume so because I don't recognize it from anything.
No, so that's why I'm looking up what else he's done. A lot of Marvel, it's looking like.
Mm.
Uh,
If this is him dipping his toes out of DC, I'm happy for him to jump in and do a book. Maybe do a Black Label book.
yeah,
Hey, Black Label Green Lantern book by Dekal.
yeah.
That's my wish list now.
Oh boy, when you Google him,
Uh-huh.
a lot of cool images come up. I'm gonna have to deep dive later. It's all very noiry
That's cool.
and jittery, but yeah, But no, this art, and I don't want to say like I didn't enjoy it because I did enjoy it, but it took me out just because the entire structure changes. But it shows that as she went out to space, the further she got, the more she felt it was much like Earth.
Yeah.
And like, oh, there's crime lords even far out here, and Thorne takes care of them.
But she also feels that she's the alien. She's like realizing that, hey, I'm not the normal one out here. Like I am the alien. But I think this is why it worked for me. This art change is because it felt more cosmic, and she's like flying in space. And there's that last page of this where she's like this little tiny part of the full page spread, and there's like sort of the face like in the sort of the celestial light that's coming off the sun or whatever it is. It's really beautiful, but it was very 2001, and it kind of feels like this cosmic odyssey she's on. I think that tonal shift worked for me because it felt like, no, this is a very spiritual part of her journey, whereas everything before now, it's been kind of very circumstantial as to just what the world's become, or whatever world she's on, because she's had to flee elsewhere. So then the final story, of course, is she's decides to come back to what is now Earth, although Earth's not a planet anymore. It's like a kind of artificial series of pods and formation.
So there's a core and almost what looks like a low-key atmosphere around part of it. But yeah, all of them are kind of attached to this almost electricity coming off of the core.
Yeah, it's all these little domes that are basically cities coming out of the core. It's called New Earth, and the art here is fantastic. This is the Sook art, right? Like this is good. That two page layout where she's walking through the city when she's landed is great, and then she walks in. We got a full page, 2-page spread. The Legion of Superheroes, Superboy's there, which ties into what we've been building up to and all that
Bendis
stuff.
Is doing. Yeah.
So that's all really good. And there's a lot of them just kind of talking to each other and kind of introducing the team and whatnot. And she's basically like in the last page is just a full page spread of her saying, "Sorry to interrupt, but my name is Rose Forrest, and I have come a long way because I have a great deal to share with you." So clearly she's going to be a part of the Legion in the main book, and this kind of sets up what the universes went through in the time between current day DCU and the start of Legion of Superheroes. So that's really cool, and I this was a nice little 2-issue thing, just kind of like almost giving that time gap a better personality. Like I feel like that's kind of the point of this, where like I understand, like I mean it's easy to say, oh, it's 1,000 years in the future, right? But this gives that like some sort of context where I'm like, oh, all these things happened in that 1,000 years. And
like when we're in the booster section, he's talking about how the Earth's been destroyed, and civilizations restarted twice up to that point, and what would have happened if we hadn't. And that's where Rose starts talking about, well, that's why superheroes are a liar, because they say they're all about this good, but really what good are they doing? And so I feel like Bendis streamlining all of these timelines to all be one, instead of them being alternate histories.
And I can totally see some of them coming back up in context to stories in Legion. Yeah. I can totally see that. I love the world building that's happening here. I think the art is pretty great across the board. Obviously, you may have different favorites or whatever, but most of them I was really into. Cheung's probably my least favorite, but he's still really good. So, hard to really be complaining about that. I really like this, and I like this 2-issue little mini just to kind of tease it. But I get why that it's not 1 and 2 of the main book. I get why it's separate, because it is just this little 2-issue thing going through all the time periods, as opposed to actually doing whatever the first story is going to be of Legion. So it makes sense. It makes sense to be separate.
Yeah.
I'm into it. And this has invested me so much in Rose and Thorne as a character. Like when we start Legion now and she's a part of that team, I'm going to at least have her and Superboy that I'm already invested in before I have to get to know, the rest of the characters, and before Bendis takes his time to really kind of establish his Saturn Girl or his Lightning Lad or his whoever. And that's good. No. How are you feeling about it? I mean, did you like these 2 issues?
No, I did. I'm a little distracted because I'm going through trying to find out what else he's worked on, but it's mainly just been covers.
Cool.
So the fact that he got to do some interior art, that's real cool. No, I really liked it. I love alternate histories and futures and the Legion. So the fact that we got there and that now, Rose and Thorn, this character that I've grown a fondness for, is going to be mixing in with Superboy and the Legion. That's pretty cool. And she got to interact with Booster. And we got all these fun timelines.
And
like, she's seen some stuff.
And again, we have like Superboy coming from Superman into Legion, and then we also have Rose and Thorn been introduced again in Action Comics and into Millennium, which leads into Legion. Like Bendis is clearly doing a good job of like doing this. In fact, there's even a joke in the museum part, I think, about Wonder Twins merch being on sale,
being sold.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
you see them in the background, in one of the holograms. So no, it's good. But yeah, the Nicola Scott art, though, I mean, it was right in my wheelhouse. I already liked her art so much. And now you're going to give it, to Booster in that section and let her play with the history of the DC universe with all the holograms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's real cool. And then you get to that other stuff with Dekal that's, like, really good, but it's so different. And I like that this book takes chances.
Yeah.
Like that,
No, it's very good. So what are you rating it, Matt?
8.5.
Yeah, I'll agree with 8.5. I was tempted to go with a 9. I'm so tempted. And the only reason why I'm not going higher is that it doesn't have as much of a story to sort of, say, this is a great story from start to finish that has like a beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't really have that. It's not that type of book. No. But, so before that, I will not go as high as a 9, but 8.5 for sure. So cool. Which will take us on to Lois Lane number 4. So Connor can tag back in. And I deliberately ordered these so that it wouldn't be the 2 non-Connor books back to back. Yeah, you're welcome. Maybe you should have done your Patreon book this week, because this is probably the latest week of the month.
Well, you could have told me that yesterday and and maybe think about that. Don't tell me halfway through the more than halfway.
I didn't know yesterday you only had 4 books this week. Well,
to be honest, yesterday nor did I.
Okay, Lois Lane.
Yeah, although just actually, one final point about his Patreon book is it was confirmed by David this week. He specifically said to me on stream, "Your next issue is the annual." And
hey, on stream doesn't count. I need to see it.
Come on.
All right, so Lois Lane.
You can put a comment.
David,
on Patreon.
David, tweet at him. Tweet at him, David, because he's going to be a little dick about it. You know he is. All right, yes, we're going to talk about Lois Lane issue 4. Greg Rucka writing with Mike Perkins on the art.
Yeah, so I picked up the variant just because it was Lupacino.
Sure.
Right.
Cool.
Very excited. Did not realize this was like a Deceased variant until I had it in my hand. I thought the people were chasing her were like Russian agents or whatever, and then I saw it.
There's a Deceased variant?
Yep.
I need to go look at this right now because I knew there was a Lupacino variant, but
yep. So yeah,
crap, it is.
It is, and so this is the first one of these I've seen.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't look great. I love Lupacino. That said, it
does it have that Deceased variant cover tag in the top
on
right?
On mine. That's how I knew. I didn't pay attention last week when I was looking at them.
Honestly, you take that away, and it's a little bit better.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, no, this issue, it's my quick sum up is Rucka playing with the stuff that Rucka has done in DC the last time he was here. Besides Wonder Woman, like you remove all that, it's playing with Checkmate a little bit. It's playing with the questions from 52.
Yeah, not only that, it's playing with the idea of like what's in continuity and who remembers what happened before.
That's what I was going to get to.
The cliffhanger is basically, is Lois going to tell Renee about, because obviously our Lois and Clark did technically come from pre-Flashpoint, so like, is Lois going to tell her all this? And presumably she is, and that's going to be interesting.
So, I have a question. After Superman Reborn, did they come from pre-Flashpoint anymore, or did that all change after that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Yes, because they still remembered stuff. They still it merged them, but they didn't forget. Like,
no, that's fine. It's been a while. I wasn't sure.
Because all that was Mixie, right?
Yes.
And yeah. So.
Anyway, so the book starts with we had the joke ending last time where Lois was trying to like surprise Clark in the shower, but it turned out to be John. And I'm just going to say here, if your mum just walked in the shower with sexy talk, would you want to hug her by the end of like the scene?
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
Yeah, I was like, give your mother a hug. You know what? Right now, I'm good. Right now, I don't feel like it. Thank you very much.
I really like the second panel there, where he's super speeding off, and you just get the outline of the water spray.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a great touch.
No, that's very good.
Is he wearing a Justice League shirt? What's that blue? No.
It's I don't know what it says, but it's not Justice League.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a panel where you can make it out any better.
Yeah.
Maybe let's
I
see
just saw the IC, and that's what it looked like.
Maybe let's see it in one of the restaurant scenes that are coming up, because they go out with pizza at 4 a.m.
I would guess the first word there says Sonic.
Okay.
But so this is basically John coming to talk to Lois about going off with the Legion, which again, it feels that this I feel enhances the worldwide building that Bendis is doing in all the super books right now. Of course, this is not even a Bendis book, right? This is Rucka, but it just ties in so nicely. But what's great about it is that Rucka takes it and sort of says, well, how will this make Lois feel? How kind of touching is this that she's saying goodbye as if he's going off to college, but he's actually going off to the Legion of Superheroes in the future?
Speaking of, this is my first experience of older John. Not a huge fan. Just
I don't know what to say. I don't necessarily loved it at the age of them up either, but
no. Like I said, I vaguely remember you guys having the same reaction like 6 months ago when this happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting that now.
We're over it.
Yeah, we're just used to it now. This is John.
This is kind of like Connor wanted to talk about Shazam. We're like, we did that back in March.
Yeah, we did that already.
I don't really want to talk about it. I just wanted to point out that I watched after you gave me shit last week.
He wants credit.
And again, this here, I'm not really, I'm not making a big deal about it. I'm just like, I'm not a big fan. I haven't got used to it yet. I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
You won't, because you're not reading.
No, that's true. I won't.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll complain again in a year's time then.
And what it does nicely is that it cuts between them having their conversation and then the questions are having a conversation over in like another diner somewhere. So similar sort of setting, different coloring. Lois and John's scene is got a lot of sort of a purpley tone with greens, whereas the questions background is a lot more oranges and yellows and has a more of a nightlife kind of feel to it.
Yeah, their feel in the diner, it feels like diner lighting, like at an all-night place, whereas Lois and John feel like it's in a low-lit, like, Italian place, which they are. It says Gino's East, where they're eating.
Yeah. But it's one of those simple things, though, that having different colouring in those two scenes really just... It really makes you know which one you're on without even thinking about the characters. And it's not like John looks like Vic Sage, because he doesn't, but like it's just that glance.
I think it's fair in that first panel where it's the wide shot of them sat at the table, and if you hadn't, if the color hadn't been so different, it would be very easy to just assume that was exactly John, especially in Perkins' work, his heavy lines and thick shadows.
Yeah, because they're even sitting on the same side. You have the line of action is the same.
Yeah, which is my point, is that the coloring just makes it very clear immediately that we're in a different place, we're looking at different characters. And this is where, some of the continuity stuff comes up, where she's like, oh, how are you alive? I remember you dying, and you saved me, but I don't remember. It never happened. Like, she's very confused. Yeah. And it's like, no, this is like fragments of 52 from,
Yeah, this is like when Wally came back and people were remembering things and were like, wait, what happened? What didn't happen? I'm confused.
Which is interesting that this seems to be a consistent thing that they might keep coming back to just across DC as a whole, where when someone does come back from that continuity, characters around them might kind of get fragments of memories back based on whatever happened before Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because this is now the second sort of... Not second time, but it's the second completely different example of a different set of characters where it's happening from a different part of the universe. So that is very interesting to me. And he's like, you're my legacy. So it's really touching upon the nostalgia and the, what Rucka built in that 52 story, which was very much his baby of that. We have a scene in the Midlands.
Rucka knows the Midlands exist.
How happy you are.
Honestly, this gives this book a whole extra point.
We get a police officer with a high-vis jacket on, which was a nice touch. That it seemed like he'd actually researched what, or the artist maybe had researched what a police officer might look like in that area.
Yeah, this looks pretty realistic.
Yeah. And is this do we know who this is? Because I did not know.
That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking for, because I've never read Checkmate. I have the first volume.
Yeah.
I bought it from Barnes & Noble when I had my card, and I would get into trouble because I would get 20% off and coupons sent to me, so it was just an excuse to buy things I didn't need.
Sure.
So it's been sitting over here for a while. I should probably get reading it, because I feel now that Checkmate and Leviathan are going to be intertwined. Kind of how I was feeling from the beginning.
Yeah, might be relevant, because she has a lot of weird like chess lines here.
Related sayings.
White King castles and what's the next move. And the officers try to just talk her down, and she mentions the Battle of Hastings at one point actually,
and he's like, "What, 1066?" Which is literally the only date most British people will learn in school that will remember for the rest of their lives. For whatever reason, that one sticks.
Even I know this, but it might just be because I'm a history nerd. The Battle of Hastings.
Here's the funny thing about this date. Is that I only know that Battle of Hastings is 1066 because someone was asked that question in class once, and the teacher kind of laughed because they got it wrong, and secretly I was sitting there going, what the hell's the Battle of Hastings? I have no idea what this is.
And then you have Hastings, I think they were an insurance company, and they had an advert on TV where they sang their phone number, and it always ended in 1066 was their phone number. So a lot of people were, seriously, any Brits of around our age listening to this, very good chance they know exactly what I'm talking about, and they are singing that number in their head right now, because I know the whole damn number.
I don't remember this at all. You're on your own.
I'm not on my own. They're out there.
Sure. I'm just going to look up the Battle of Hastings because I'm curious.
Man, I don't know.
That is a huge topic to just randomly decide to look up.
That's not weird. I do this all the time.
Yeah, not in the middle of a recording though.
Well, true.
So here we go. Just for people who are interested, who don't know what the Battle of Hastings is. The Battle of Hastings was fought on the 14th of October 1066 between the Norman-French army of William, the Duke of Normandy, and an English army under the Anglo-Saxon King Harold Godwinson, beginning the Norman conquest of England. Yeah, I don't know any of this shit.
Yeah,
I never learned any of this.
Came over, and William the Conqueror is following the star, right, as the story goes. And he led it. Because the Normans, which is funny, is the descendants of Vikings are fighting the descendants of Vikings here.
Yeah.
For the record,
because you have.
I just want you to know, I'm sending you the advert so that you can see and hear the song probably in the last 5 or 10 seconds of it. See if it jogs your memory.
I can't listen to it while we're recording.
Oh no, you can't, can you?
No.
You can mute yourself on there for a minute, can you?
No, because it comes through your audio, not mine.
Ah, bloody hell. Well, we'll do it next time we pause.
Yeah, so just to clarify something Cara said there, people in England might learn about this in school because it's more relevant to English history. People in Scotland, not so much.
I contest that greatly. It seems, at that point it was English history, but I mean it's the basis of the entire United Kingdom. Pretty much that moment.
We never learned about that this in school. Hell, I really did any Scottish history in school.
Her?
Yeah.
You guys keep talking about this. I'm looking up this character. I'm ruling out people from.
He's really trying.
Checkmate.
He's really trying. He's slithing over there. He's slithing away. Who is this character? That is the question.
It's either Sasha Bordeaux or it's Jessica Midnight. Both names sound great.
But both sound applicable to this.
Because Jessica Midnight was the Black Queen's bishop, which I know from Checkmate. From back when I was reading like Outsiders or whatever, they did a crossover. So I had a couple issues of it. And
Black Queen's Bishop is the last thing she says.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who have obviously read Checkmate are screaming at the podcast right now.
And that's fine. Hit us up here, guys.
Yeah.
But I think Sasha Bordeaux was the Black Queen. So anyways, the Bishop and the Rook and the Knight, they all were different roles to the Handler, who was the King or Queen. And I feel like you had the White Queen and White King, and they were like the what is it in Bond, Connor? where you have like M and Q, right? They're not agents. They're like the they're the back end, like the technical.
Yeah. So
support,
I mean, M is operations chief, I guess.
Yeah, operations. So like the white side of the chessboard was like the operational, and then the black side of the chessboard were the Amanda Wallers, they go and get stuff done. So that's what this feels like is, because she's talking about, I'm trying to find it, the Black King's Knight takes pawn to d5. But it also looks like she's doing some occult stuff with candles.
Yeah, she's got like a pentagram. Yeah, she's got like it's not actually a pentagram, but it's like a pentagram sort of drawing on the floor.
It's interesting. It says Omega, Leviathan, and I can't make out what the other side says where she's lying over.
EHEY, and then we don't see the rest of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no idea what that could be.
Let me see.
I do like the subtle touch in the art, though. There's a white box around the Leviathan, just to really make that one clear. It's like Leviathan's important here. But she kills herself. That's the main thing that happens here, is she does shoot herself in the head. The police officer tries to run in and stop her, but she looks definitely dead in that last panel.
I mean, she's definitely dead, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really dark little scene.
Yeah, so according to this, that Jessica Midnight was responsible for recruiting Sasha Bordeaux, and despite the Black Queen's being the Black Queen's bishop, she was powerless to prevent the organization's recent takeover by Maxwell Lord. So now I'm thinking, oh crap, Maxwell Lord's running around. Now we're getting some of this.
We know just that, what we need.
Right? We know that we have that Rucka and Bendis are working together on stuff like this.
I feel like we all need to do our homework and go and read Checkmate.
Yeah. I have to find it. It's somewhere on my bookcase. But yeah. I think we do, Connor.
I'll see what I can do.
I think my Marvel reading needs to. I'm already behind, as it were.
Just give up and read Checkmate instead.
Just give up and read Checkmate instead.
I can. Like I had House of X, Power of X. I had 2 issues left. That's not going anywhere.
Save Marvel for a rainy 5-year period like the New 52, where you don't have as much DC you want to read.
But I really enjoy Cap and Mortal Hulk right now.
Oh, they are good.
They are great.
So,
and I'm kind of excited for the new Thor book. I've seen the preview pages, and I'm like, hell yeah.
I saw that right before I went in to Joker, and I had to think about this. What that quote from Cates was while watching Joker, which made it very hard the first 5 minutes.
I'll bet it made it hard. So we have another scene with Lois and John. We have a touching goodbye, and he's like, "Oh, you're my hero," and it's all very touching. And then we go back to the questions. They're eating pie. It's going to his hips. They're talking about
because he needs to put weight on though to be.
Yes, he's a bit
too skinny.
And we get kind of like an almost flashback as he's describing his last memory, and it's that scene in 52 when they're in the snowy mountains,
going banana Parbat.
Yeah. So again, it's really poking back at that stuff. So if you've read any of that history, if you've read 52, it really is it's bringing some of it up. But obviously she's going off to meet Lois, and Vic walks her there. Has a little beat there where they sort of speak to each other, but ultimately Renee's like, you knew he was around and you didn't tell me, and this kind of brings up this thing where it's like, hey, you know stuff in a way that no one else does, you have to tell me. And Lois phrases it as like, only 2 people in the entire universe know about this history.
She gives a whole like 2-page speech on truth first.
Yeah. And how it'll murk things up, and how it's difficult to take. And how
on the meta, I really felt this going, you guys, you think you want to know canon, you think you want explanations, but you don't, because like we just saw in Justice League, when we start explaining things, it just gets murky.
And I will tell Rucka, no, I am one of the people that takes in sugar and can handle it.
Yes.
Right? So give it to me.
Yes.
Connor can take all the alcohol, right? We're built
split
for this,
between
Connor.
us, yeah.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't make us sick; it makes us stronger. At least that's what I tell myself. right?
Yeah. So here's
Same thing I say
the
as well.
so here's the final exchange. I always want to like say word for word. And one of those truths, Renee, only 2 other people in the universe know. Are you sure you want to be the third? And she's like, start talking, and that's the final page. So, she's getting some pre-Flashpoint knowledge.
I love how much that Renee becomes important. Montoya, she's one of these characters that's like, she goes and comes back, but she's probably one of my favorite Gotham characters. And I love that Rucka's going to put her up on a pedestal here. Not just as the Question, just like we saw her show up at the end of Leviathan and Lois's secondary group, you know? And she's important to the DCU. I feel like she's like in that Dick Grayson vibe now that he's off being Rick, you know? Like,
oh yeah, that's still happening.
Yeah, that's. I tried not to think
I genuinely had forgotten that was still a thing somehow, and you've just ruined that for me.
I'm sorry, bud. I just, maybe you can't handle the truth.
Connor misses Dick. That's all we've established here. Connor's really missing Dick.
Come on, we all do.
Some of that Dick.
Connor needs some proper Dick.
You say that like you don't.
Pete has constant Dick. We'll just say that.
I'm not even sure what you're implying, sir.
You have a lot of Dick Grayson stuff, correct? It's a yes or no, Pete.
Yes, sure.
There you go. Constant Dick.
I thought you were going to say you have a lot of Dick, don't you, Peter? What question to ask?
No. I was told not to brag.
Oh dear.
Checkmate. I'm now on a checkmate hole, so you guys keep talking.
Oh dear. Dicks and holes. What a conversation this has descended into. Well, we're just ready to rate the book, I think. But it's interesting how Lois is kind of poking. I was not expecting it to poke at this continuity stuff and bringing up some stuff. Because I feel like it's been a while since we've really talked about stuff from Flashpoint coming back. And...
Probably since not long after Reborn.
Rucka? Yeah, but see, Rucka also worked on that question book that gave us both questions in Convergence. That was it was a little 2-issue with Coley Hamner.
I read a bunch of Convergence minis. I can't remember if I read that one.
I can't remember if it wasn't it was good, but I had built it such up because it was Rucka's return during a really dark time in DC Comics.
Yeah.
The New 52 and whatnot. I remember liking it. I have both issues.
Convergence as a whole, boring, pointless waste of time. Some of those minis were pretty enjoyable, though.
Yeah. Oh, the Shazam one, the Superman and this one.
Yeah, I really like that Shazam one.
Convergence actually was the time in New 52 that made me drop a lot of books. Not because it directly affected any books, but because... it was like a 2-month gap for all the main books. I just decided to skip Convergence, and when the books came back, I just found myself having not going back to a few of the ones that I was reading.
I do that a lot with TV over the Christmas break. Especially with a new season, I'll watch it weekly, and then I'll get to the Christmas break, and I just won't come back. I guess I didn't care that much.
Yeah. So
here we go.
There you go. All right, so Lois Lane 4, Matt, what are you giving it?
This is an 8.5.
Very confident. Connor?
I'll give it an 8.
I will also give it an 8 out of 10. Really solid. Question stuff especially in this was really good. So, yeah.
All right, so I had them kind of mixed up. So the black side of the chess set is operations, and then the white side is intelligence. So that's where the checkmate. And each one of those positions on the chessboard, each one of the pieces, they're a different part. So the grunts are both the pawns. They're the field agents. And as they go up, so at one point, Mr. Terrific was head of the intelligence side, I think. So yeah.
So he'd have been the white.
And I think we need to checkmate. I think so. Yeah. Alan Scott was at one point too.
I definitely really need to just read this.
Yeah,
I have a mission for when I go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to that, folks. It'll be 2 weeks without Connor.
Maybe. Definitely one. maybe a second.
Well, this is when they surprisingly pushed Doomsday Clock 12 to, so that we could talk about the final issue with the Connor's dying.
You wish you could talk about it already.
Alright, so that'll take us out of the last book of the week then, which is Young Justice issue 9, Brian Michael Bendis writing, with André, Lima, Araújo, and John Timms on art. So we're still on Earth 3, but we focus less on the Earth 3 story. There's a couple of little bits in Earth 3. There's a little bit with Tim and Stephanie from Earth 3 at the end, kind of setting up.
Don't call her Stephanie, call her Batwoman.
Call her Batwoman, yes.
That's her.
So they get the multiverse map at the end, and that's fine. That sets up where we're going next. So that's kind of a low-key part of the issue, though, because for the main part of the issue, it's actually Teen Lantern fighting her evil doppelganger, and that's basically used as a avenue to get flashbacks of how she became Teen Lantern, and it's her version of the dying Lantern. And I think like one of the complaints when she was announced as a character is that people were like, "Oh, this like 10-year-old like hacked the Green Lantern battery by herself." No, she didn't. She actually got it off a dead alien who had already hacked it. So
yeah, and is wearing a Lantern uniform and participating in some unsavory things, and it looks like it's the first gauntlet from the Vendetti stuff that me and Connor read, where Hal had to form his own ring, but before that he had this old battery pack, it sucked in power and whatnot. That's what it looks like.
And that's where the different art comes in as well. That's why there's two artists. There's the stuff in the flashbacks is the other artist. So yeah, it's quite dark. These two kids witness this murder. This like gangster like kills the alien, and Kelly, we find out her name. The Teen Lantern goes back to like the scene of the crime and finds the alien dying, and he kind of like he's not getting his words out properly. It's kind of hard to understand what he's trying to say, but he does kind of give her the ring. The interesting part I thought was you make as much as you can with it. You own this world with it, and then throw it in fire before, and then he doesn't really get to finish what he's trying to say. So, yeah, it feels like a bit of an unsavory character, but he's passed off this green gauntlet to her, and yeah, so that's how she gets it, and she ends up flying away from home to go to Metropolis after she sort of converses with a friend a little bit about it.
Yeah. So what I love though is after he dies, it's very much it feels like Hal and
Abin Sur.
Abin Sur, but she takes us like I'm accepted. I'm honored. Do I have to sign something? And as he's bleeding out, he's like, I can't believe, like, what did I get myself into? Is his final thought, which I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm glad that he went this way with her origin. I'm glad that it's not her actually hacking the Lantern and figuring all this out. She's almost as lost as any of these other Young Justice characters.
Yeah, she's even shocked there's an evil version of her. She's like, oh, there's an evil doppelganger? Like, I didn't think I earned that yet.
Whose name is Hack, and it sounds like Hack did do this. And if you remember, and I don't know if this is the same stuff on Earth 3, but it's the Volthoom power. It's a little bit more magical based. So it definitely feels like this character would be way, way worse off having them hack into the Earth 3 Green Lantern powers. And that's how it seems with how they interact with her. But Earth 3 Drake gets shot, back because
the evil Jenny...
Teen Lantern rushes in.
The evil Jenny goes to shoot actual Jenny, and Green Lantern, or Teen Lantern, sorry, shields her, and the bullet ricochets and goes into evil Drake's shoulder.
I love that.
And she actually keeps shooting even though they're in a bubble, because Teen Lantern puts him in a bubble, and he's like, stop shooting! Like, he's just bouncing around the bubble. So it teases again what's in Jenny Hex's trunk, and in fact, the end of the issue, even I think the next issue is going to be very similar, and we'll get a little bit of progression in the Earth 3 stuff, but it'll be mainly flashback to Jenny Hex's kind of story, because it's these two issues back to back are very much here's the origin issues for the two new characters that we don't really know. Which is cool, because obviously all the characters we do know got issues in the first arc explaining how they got to where they were. And there's still stuff to unpack, of course, but they get the multiverse map from Batwoman's cave, and it kind of ends with, okay. But obviously Robin is like, look, we're not just going to leave. We're going to try and help this world first before we go, and see if we can help Batwoman sort things out a little bit. So
good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that.
That place is a pit, and they just need to leave.
Yes, the mystery of Ginny Hex revealed is the
which I'm excited because you said in the Batman universe one that Bendis was writing, Ginny shows up, and they kind of tease what's in the trunk there too.
Yeah. So
this is something he's had in mind for a minute, and I just hope it's. I'm not building it up to be something big and grand.
Yeah, well, I would keep your expectations in check, but it feels like it's something that he's known for a while. What he's going to do here, for sure.
But, you know, solid issue. Nothing like amazing in this issue.
Yeah, it was a quick read because a lot of the flashback stuff is silent. There's not a lot of dialogue in the flashbacks.
And so I had to look up the. I usually I'm good with Spanishy names. Araújo.
Yes.
And I couldn't remember where I know that name from, and I forgot he did the Millennium issue 1. He did a section of that.
Yeah, he was one of the artists on that. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to remember if he was which section, but I don't remember.
Oh, there's no way I'm remembering.
You know, when the first part, I think. So, but yeah, no. Solid art on both sides. I think I preferred his art here than in Millennium, but yeah.
I think it made her, like, you know, I think she's in Bolivia, they said. So I think it made it feel like a different place. You know, it really felt different because of the different art, and it was solid art as well. Whereas Tim's is a bit more kind of like upbeat and cartoony and sort of fun. I'd describe his art, but no, the book's solid, and it's you know, taking time to introduce new characters who are growing on me, which is nice. So. Yeah, no complaints for issue 9.
And that multiversal map too. I'm just saying it doesn't match what I've seen of things. It feels a little bit off. So I don't know if we can trust this Batwoman. It is our 3 after all. So you got to trust the villains normally. If this was like, but then again, that's weird with Stephanie Brown. She's kind of a, you know, with her history, she can go either way. So. Man.
Good. So what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm going to give this one a 7.5. It's pretty good. It's but nothing too amazing.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 7.5 I think is fair. So there you go. That is the last book of the week, which means we're at the part of the show where we pick our favourite stuff. We do best panel/moment, favourite cover, favourite art, and top 5 books. Or in Connor's case, just ranking the 4 that he read, because he's every week he does the same thing. Oh, I read these 3, and then Batman's not good enough to be in the top 5.
Well, no, that's because a top 3 out of 4 has more weight than just here's 4 books that I read.
It's still ranked in an order. You can say there's a big gap. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but it loses the weight.
All right, so best panel/moment. We'll start off with Matt. What you got?
So there's a lot here for me as a continuity wonk, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it has to be from Deceased. But which one, right?
Yeah, I've got like 3 potential moments from Deceased.
And it's like I could go super sad, which is, you know, or I could go more funny. But so I think I'll lean into the funny on this one, and it's when Lois KOs Luthor, you know, for being disrespectful. Really good moment, and an otherwise like heart ripping out book, like Taylor Mola-rammed me.
Oh yeah,
right.
I think for me, there's a few options I could pick. I think some of the question stuff in Lois Lane's really good, but I'm also gonna go with Deceased. I'm gonna go where Superman makes Cyborg promise that Flash is already dead, that Barry's already dead. That moment really speaks to me. Is that he's like he has to be sure before he, you know, does what he's about to do, which is, you know, straight up murder him and fly through him. He has to know he's already dead. That spoke to me. What's yours, Connor?
I'm going again from Deceased, but I'll take a different angle. I'm going to go with the two panels where Luther drops to his knees and just says, "Look what happened to our city."
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And then we're going to be looking at best cover of the week. Where's my thumbnails so I can look at the variants and decide. What's this Deceased variant here? Let me have a look.
I don't think there's a lot of standout covers this week. I mean, admittedly, there's less books overall, so maybe that's part of it. But there's some good covers though.
Yeah.
The Deceased movie one very disappointing.
Yeah, Curse of La Llorona isn't.
Yeah.
Super exciting. That was a terrible movie.
I have not had the misfortune.
Don't. We went to the theater to see it, and that was a mistake.
You say that, but it is October.
True. That said, you could do far worse than a Conjuring universe movie.
I don't know, those spin-offs.
But still, you have better things to watch.
To be honest, I've not watched any of the spin-offs from Conjuring Universe. I've just watched the main.
There's much better you can be doing yourself.
James did sell The Nun to me as an actual superhero movie, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I remember him making that argument.
Yeah.
I see Batman also has a Deceased variant by Martina.
So does Justice League.
Oh, does it? I'll have a look at Justice
That's
League.
what all those were?
Yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, to be honest, some of them didn't, immediately grab my eye, so I didn't click on them to look at them in full size.
Mm-hmm.
So I never realized some of these were Deceased variants.
Yeah, normally I'd go with the Lupacino Lois Lane, but now that I know it's Deceased, and I'm just kind of like, that's fine. But yeah, you guys have yours?
I'm probably gonna go. I don't really have a clear winner. The Martina Deceased one's pretty cool as an image. It's hardly all like zombified, but still laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Martina's like a really good artist. I mean, that's basically it. But it's not necessarily speaking to my taste in terms of what the image is either. So,
sorry, that's just the Deceased variant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have like an obvious pick this week. I have to admit.
Well, then I'll go because it's the Legion of Superheroes Millennium variant with all the Legion on it. That looks rad. I mean, that's such a good image.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And it's got Booster on it, and it's got a Superboy.
Honestly, I'll probably go with the regular Legion of Superheroes Millennium.
That one's good too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I'm gonna go with the regular Deceased cover. I think
That's
Middleton
good.
pulls off something a bit different to what his normal work looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty good.
That's the physical copy of it that I got was that one. I think that's on my shop pad though.
Yeah,
the Deceased.
it's the one I got.
Yeah,
it looks pretty good. All right, best art of the week then. I think Matt's good. I think for me, like, it's really between Legion of Superheroes Millennium and Young Justice. And what's interesting is they both have multiple artists that are kind of split up in a way that makes sense. I'm probably going to go with Millennium though, and I think because there's a variety of artists in there, they're all at least good. Some of them are great, and then there's just that Dekal dude that I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
His pages are just kind of stunning and new and different.
Yeah,
and it really stood out to me. So I'm going with Millennium. What you got, Connor?
I'm going with Deceased. I think Hairsine nails every single emotional moment in this issue. So I was a big fan.
Matt?
I'm going with Lois Lane. The Perkins stuff. You guys were talking about the different coloring, right, to show the different stuff, and it's a conversation issue, but I never feel it lacks action. So, yeah.
All right. So top 5 books of the week. Matt, go.
1, Deceased. 2, Millennium. 3, Lois Lane. 4, Justice League. 5, Young Justice.
Okay, Connor.
Deceased, Justice League, Lois Lane.
Batman.
And Batman, yes. I'm going to go number 1. Number 1, I'm going to go Millennium. Number 2, Deceased. Number 3, Lois Lane. Number 4, Young Justice. Number 5, Batman. There you go. So that is our favourite stuff of the week. Connor did tell me between breaks there that there's a couple of minor news items popped up. So here's a bit of bonus news at the end of the show.
Yeah, just a little bit. First one, Cliff Cheung, who was the artist on Azzarello's Wonder Woman run, has said he is working on a Black Label book that he is writing, drawing, colouring, and lettering all himself. No idea what it is yet, but I really like his art, so I'm kind of excited for that.
It'll still be out before Creature of the Night.
It might well be. You never know. Yeah, it's one of those where, okay, it's I know him as an artist, but no idea as a writer. But after Sejic last week, I'm a little bit more excited.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. And the other one is actually a little bit of news on some, what were miniseries, then became maxi series, and now maybe ongoings. Wonder Twins and Dilate Your Hero have both been given more issues. It just says greenlit for more. I don't know.
Please
how
work a
much
season
more.
system.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're being given like another 6 issues, or if it's just these are just ongoing now until they're cancelled. We'll have to wait and see. But Wonder Twins is having a crossover with Young Justice.
Oh, interesting.
Sweet.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm okay with them getting more issues. I do think that last Dilate for Hero was a rough filler issue, so hopefully, that's not a problem going into this new. This is another 6. This is going to 18 now, or whatever.
You're hoping 13 isn't another shit issue.
Yes, I'm hoping that there's maybe either IDs already in place, or maybe some time is taken, a month or 2 are taken off to get the next.
Yeah, that's very
ready.
possible.
That's my hope. But we'll see. And it's interesting though that two books that were supposed to be 6-issue minis are now getting probably 18 issues at least each.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be surprised if they get less than that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Typically, when they add on another batch, it'll be another 6, just because that's typically what an arc is going to be. So, curious. I guess they're happy with the even though they're not big selling books. I guess they're happy with the performance for what they are.
I assume this means they're not dipping that much either. And the cynical part, you say, well, they're doing a crossover with Young Justice, that'll boost the sales as well.
Maybe the pre-orders on the first trades are doing well, because they'll both be soonish.
Yeah, they will. And DC loves playing for the book market more than Marvel does. They're a lot smarter about it in that sense. And we've seen they're willing to let books run longer than we would have expected. I'm thinking, like New Superman, for example. These books that you think, okay, that's going to end any issue. You're waiting for it. Every time you see the solicits, you're waiting for that final issue tag, and then it just keeps going for a bit more. Presumably because it has, good residual sales in the book market.
Yeah. There you go. Just a couple of interesting tidbits. More Black Label books. They keep pumping these out. We keep getting more news of Black Label books.
It went from this label is dead to holy shit, soon we're going to have more Black Label than regular books.
Because I feel like the way that they try to sell it, now they've restructured and refined.
Once you count all the Hill House stuff and all the Sandman universe stuff as Black Label, which is what they're going to be doing.
Well, even forgetting those, I feel like we're at the point now where it seems like we're going to have maybe a couple of Black Label books every week. It feels like we're going to be at that point in a few months. It's just a regular feature. There's a Black Label book or 2 every week. And if you include the horror stuff and the other imprints, and then
then there's plenty. Yeah. But I mean, it feels healthy now. That's for sure.
Yeah, it does. But hey, if even 1 in 4 can be as good as Harleen, then keep them coming.
Yeah, just keep pumping them out until you get another hit like that.
Yeah, just keep them coming. If that's the quality we can achieve with it, then by all means. So. No, that has been episode 175 of Comics from the Multiverse, where we have gotten together and talked about some DC comics and some other stuff. We'll be back next week. In fact, I'll tell you what's coming next week, which is usually what I do at this point.
Yeah.
You got distracted by the news.
I got distracted by news.
Did you ask what the listeners and viewers was?
Matt, how dare you bring something like that up? How dare you?
Connor, that means you didn't.
Oh, I know.
How dare you point out flaws?
Yeah, I know.
How dare
Well,
you
you sound
forget
like
at least 3 weeks in a row now at this point.
You sound like you could be running a country with opinions like that, Pete.
Look,
I'm not sure what's scarier, the reality or Pete running a country.
Well, depending who we're talking about, I would gladly trade.
I think I'd do a better job, and I'm not even.
Yeah.
And this is the thing: I have no experience. I don't think I'd be good at it. I'm pretty confident in saying I would still do a better job than the current.
I was going to say that is the exact same level of quality that the current president entered with.
Yes, but I'm smarter than him. I'm confident in saying that.
I'd begrudgingly agree.
I mean, so is my cat, but whatever.
It's a low bar.
Well, my cat's smart. She's learned to open her bedroom door at night and scare the crap out of me and my wife. Because we have one of those lever handles, and yeah.
I bet your cat was never on trial for shitting somewhere and then just went, do you know what? Screw it. I'm going to shit there again.
All right, what's coming next week then? I hear everyone begging to know to end this conversation. We got Batman and the Outsiders issue 6. We have Batman Universe issue 4. We have Batman's Grave issue 1 of 12. That is the
Ellis and Hitchcock.
That's the Ellis one. Right, okay, that's the Ellis one. I think I'll be trying that. I'm curious enough to see what that's like. If people are curious. Catwoman number 16 is coming out. We also have... I'm skipping the Giant issues because it's mostly reprinted material.
Yeah, I think worth noting that there is 2 Giants, Batman and DC villains. I'm interested to see who the teams are actually on that, and what stories they've actually got, because there are new stories in there, and with an interesting team, I could be persuaded to read that segment.
The Villains has a 16-page by Mark Russell, and
Bogdanovich on art.
Bogdanovich. Joker, Bad News by Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor has got an 8-page story in there, so
and
I need
Gail
to read.
Simone.
And Gail Simone, yeah. See, that's not bad actually.
I don't have time though.
No, I know, but interesting.
All right, back to the list. Detective Comics 1013. Event Leviathan issue 5, The Flash issue 80. We have Gotham City Monsters issue 2, although I don't think any of us want to go back to that, right?
I never read the first one.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, I had time.
I don't want to read any more of it. I didn't like the first one, so I'm good. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy issue 2. I think some of you are reading this, right? Because
Yep.
If we get time, yeah.
Well, this is why I don't have time for the other ones. I'm going to read this one.
You want to read Harley and Poison Ivy? Hawkman issue 17 is coming out. We have Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 1 of 9. This is the new Black Label book with from the previews that I have seen, with some particularly high quality art, very lifelike art
there's
style.
2 artists. I believe they're in different time periods is the way they're covering it. So
That's
there's
cool.
a 5 years later section, and then a previous bit.
Is it possible I get a second Great Harley book, despite the fact that I think there's too many Harley books? I'm going to end up with 2 of them that I'm like, you know what, these are actually really freaking great.
Cami Garcia, there's a reason to assume that you might.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to try that and see how it is. So that's the next big Black Label book. Joker Year the Villain issue 1 shot is out next week.
That's the Carpenter one, right?
Yeah, it is. I've skipped all of these so far. Morbid Curiosity might get me to read that one though, just because Carpenter's involved.
Yeah.
This is John Carpenter of Halloween and the Thing we're talking about here, not like some comic book writer.
Writing a Joker issue.
And Big Trouble in Little China. Don't forget that.
I'm so sorry, Matt. I missed your favourite.
Come on.
Justice League Odyssey issue 14 is out. Ruby issue 1 is out. That's the robot chicken thing, right?
Rooster Teeth.
No.
Rooster Teeth.
Close though.
Same difference. I mean, I don't care about these things.
At least you got the vague idea of what it was.
Interchangeable. So, Secrets of Sinister House issue 1, is that a Sandman
Halloween
universe?
Anthology.
Oh, that's the Halloween Anthology book. Okay. It's your $10 80-page monstrosity. And then we have Supergirl issue 35, we have Superman issue 16, Wonder Twins issue 8, and Wonder Woman issue A. So,
for the record, by my count, between us of books that we're covering, assuming that Peter, you still reading Batman Universe?
No, I didn't get to it last week. Last month because it was too busy.
Ignoring that one then. We have 12 books between us.
Between us, yeah, but I don't think any one of us is reading all 12.
No. It would have been 13 with Batman Universe, and that would have sounded a lot worse.
So my 30s are pretty hefty number.
But once you're into the teens, that's way worse than just 12.
Yeah. And the Batman Giant two new stories is Michael Gray, art by Ryan Benjamin, and then a Steve Orlando 8-page story.
Well, that's very skippable.
Art by Tom Mandrake. So just in case people were curious, I think.
Basically, if I was going to try one of them, I'm taking the villains.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. That is very fair. So big week next week. So expect a show to represent that. But hey, if that next, I'm oddly excited for this Joker Harley book now. After Harley, even though it's different writers, it's put me in the mood for a good story.
It turns out Black Label books can be kind of fantastic, and they feel like they're left to do their own thing, right? Like, hey, you just tell your damn story.
I'm honestly, I'm probably more excited for that than I am any other book next week, just to see what it's like, and because it seems like it might be very high quality. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hopefully it works out. Because the preview pages do look very good. If anyone's not seen them yet. I know some people don't like the art because they think it's too lifelike. They think it's too it's going to get into Uncanny Valley territory.
I might have to go look at them.
But it was from a glance, it was doing it for me. Maybe it won't work as well sequentially in the book itself, but we'll see. But hey, yeah, I don't know. Black Label may end up being like the main event every week. It may end up being like, no, that's the big high quality books that we're going to spend a lot of time on.
Holy crap, that is lifelike.
Yeah, I told you, right? So
I wasn't expecting
to
look
just
quite
not
like
pictures.
They got actors in a room and just took photographs.
It does kind of look like it.
Yeah, so that's coming next week. And if you haven't read Harleen, go back and read Harleen because it was really good.
Yep.
So there you go. That is episode 175 of Comics from the Multiverse. We are done for another week. We'll be back next week with 12 books that we talked about there in that list, and we will talk about any news that may happen before next week and whatever else we do. You can, of course, support everything we do by liking and subscribing. Ding that bell on YouTube, or if you're on the audio version of the podcast, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you listen to your podcast from. Helps us reach more people because they'll recommend us out more if you do that. So please do so. You can also support us, of course, financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. I've been trying to do that in the middle and I forgot to do it this week, but hey, here's as good a time as any. You can go and support us for as little as $1 per month and keep all the content coming. Not only comes from the Multiverse, but everything else we do, which includes TV reviews and movie podcasts. In fact, I'll mention specifically streams after midnight because it is October and the Octoberthon is happening where me and Tim are putting out an episode every single day in October. So if you like horror movies and you like me talking about shit, you can go and get more of that in the horror movie variety on that show. If
you don't like horror movies, we're sorry that you're being flooded with horror reviews.
Well, one per day, it's not that much. I mean, it's much in the context of how much work it's taken to do, but it's not that much in terms of notifications.
It's much in context of how much there usually is.
Yes. So that's going on right now. But otherwise, that is us. So, get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Even though if I forget to ask, you can still tweet at us what you think of the books this week. You can tweet at us, other things, I don't know, questions and stuff. I don't know what people use Twitter for. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys. And remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.